Don't forget to like this video if you like it, click subscribe, click notifications for future contents, and don't forget to share it with a friend. Don't forget to like this video if you like it, click subscribe, click notifications for future contents, and don't forget to share it with a friend. Don't forget to like this video if you like it, click subscribe, click notifications for future contents, and don't forget to share it with a friend.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Greetings, everyone. Blessings, blessings. Good to see you on this chilly morning here in New York City. It's freezing outside, and it was been chilly all night long. And I'm excited for this morning's stream. Glad to see you guys this morning coming in one by one into the chat room. And we are going to kick this show off this morning. I have my brothers and my sister in the background. One of the brothers is going to be coming in a little bit later on, but for now I'm going to bring them on with me. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, blessings.
Hi.
Blessings. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Good to see you guys. Good.
Good morning.
How are we on this beautiful morning? Sister Deborah, how you been?
I'm doing good, but brother, I'm gonna have to pop out and back in because there's a slight lag on my side. I see.
Okay.
Yeah,
No problem.
I'll be right back, but I'm doing good.
It's maintenance. Okay. It's all good. Yeah, brother Noah, what's going on? Blessings to you.
Blessings. Are you doing all right?
I'm doing good. Maintaining, man. Just excited, man. I'm pumped up for this morning's stream, man. I'm excited. Got a great one for this morning. Great topic. A lot of prep going into this. So I'm excited. So how has your week been, man?
Week's been a little rough. I don't know if you heard, I was battling a head cold. Still kind of got it, but
you too? Yeah, I had a cold. Starting, I think, like
congestion.
Monday morning or what is that? Sunday afternoon? Yeah, the first day of the week. Yeah. So you had a head cold. So what was all the symptoms?
Head cold, like a congestion in my ear, like a sore throat, a little bit of like coughing and mucus in my chest.
Right.
And I think that's been it.
Wow. Yeah. That's what I had.
A little bit of chills, but
Yeah, I had a cough. I didn't have a headache. I just had the and I didn't really even cough much. It was just more so the sniffles.
Oh,
Yeah, it was more so the sniffles that I had, and my voice changed. It was all raspy and so forth and whatnot, and I was feeling sluggish,
yeah.
like drained, right? And I had a few clients too as well that has been under the weather this week. So a number of people that I know of, man, you're probably about the fifth or sixth person that I heard of that has been battling with feeling under the weather.
And a itchy, sneezing nose.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you get that feeling you need to sneeze, but you can't, and then it's
right,
too rough.
right. Like it's teasing you, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like it's teasing you. So yeah, we got Sister Eden. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to your sister. Blessings. Good to see your avatar. Glad to see you. I'm excited. I'm excited for this morning's stream. Blessings to you.
Blessings.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So we are awaiting Brother Jeremy and Sister Deborah to link back on in because they are experiencing technical difficulties. I think Sister Deborah's coming right back in right now, so I'm about to bring her back on. I think.
Hi, I'm back.
Yeah, how's your feed?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better. You're not lagged anymore. Sorry for that
Yeah,
interruption.
I mean, you yeah, it looks clear. It doesn't think I don't know seeing any delays on my end. So
Okay, good. Okay.
yeah, it's technical
Yeah.
difficulties and technology is what it is. It's not 100%, right?
Welcome, Sister Eden. Good to see you. Blessings. Thank you for your contributions all through this season. So
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, prayerfully we'll be able to get Sister Eden on the panel. I know this morning would have been a bit of a challenge, but it would have been I look forward to the day of getting her on the panel and even just meeting her. Yeah, as well. Yes. And we're also waiting on Brother Jeremy to come back in as we develop in the discussion. So without any further ado, did we discuss how your week was, Sister Deborah? Before we go, make sure
it's good. It's doing really good. I'm having an awesome week. Thanks for asking.
awesome week.
Yeah.
Well, awesome is a good place. That's a good location. I don't think you need to move from that location. You stay there, right?
Amen. I'm trying.
Stay there. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. Yeah. So we want to welcome everyone to Shabbat Morning Bible Dig. Mike Allen and friends. I got my brother and my sister on the panel. We're waiting on another brother to come on, Brother Jeremy. So we have Brother Noah. He's at the top of the screen to my left, right? And Sister Deborah is in the box underneath. And we got some more comments coming in. Let's see what we got on. All right. Irie Heights, shalom, everyone. Blessings to you. Glad you're joining us here this morning. Look forward to your opinions, your thoughts, right? Any questions, objections to what we talk about this morning. I'm so excited. I'm pumped up. I'm telling you, the more this is how I roll. If you guys have watched, any of Digging in the Word, Shabbat Morning Bible Dig, Masculinity Mondays, the formats are pretty much interactive, right? It's not a monologue. It's not a one-way thing. It's not a one-word conversation. It's a dialogue that's going on, right? And with that, I've said it many times before, I get energized, when people engage with me on this level, there's something about the real time that triggers me, right? So I'm so excited because I've gotten in an abundance amount of information and data, sources and so forth and whatnot. I know that what I have prepared or what we have prepared is exhaustive. It's a lot. I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to get through everything today because there's a lot to, uncover. There's a lot to go through, comb through, which is good, right? Because I think what we're going to be talking about this morning is that important. You know, I don't think it's just one of those things that we could just, just go through it quickly and gloss over and then move on. No, this is very important because we're talking about progeny. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about, the future. We're talking about our babies, right? And so it's so important that, we treat this topic with care and we try to pour or allow the Ruach to pour as much as he would into this particular topic. So, bear with us. We might not get to certain points today, but if not today, that doesn't mean we might not get to it if we have to do a part 2 or a part 3, right? So the door isn't closed. So I'm putting that out there. The door isn't closed on the idea of doing multiple streams on this particular topic because it is that big, it is that important. I don't know, it's just of late we just been covering these topics that's just so important, and one just ain't enough, right? One stream just ain't enough, right? And what's up with that, guys? What's up?
No, I think that's the Most High's digging deeper into our hearts.
I guess this is the result of digging in the Word. The more you dig, right, the more you find out that you got to dig some more, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more you learn, you find out how much you don't know, and you got to continue to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a blessing. It's a blessing. I'm excited to have you all. Excited for the family this morning to get together on this Shabbat morning, where we take the time to worship our Creator in learning, right? And learning, meditating in his word, studying his word, digging in his word, right? These are acts of worship that we're doing right now. And so it would be fitting, and I would be amiss if I did not ask our brother Noah to open us up in a word of prayer to appropriately start this and kick this thing off. So brother Noah, would you bless us with a word of prayer?
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the gathering today of your saints and those who need this message to be edified. Where 2 or more are gathered in your name, you are in the midst. We invite your Holy Spirit in to help guide and direct this message and use it for teaching, edification, and correction. Bless this stream, bless those viewing and those on the replay. In your son's name, Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Yes, blessings. Thank you, brother. Thank you for that prayer. Thank you for that prayer. So this morning's topic, right? If you haven't gotten the opportunity to take a peek below the thumbnail in the description section, right? Above the description section, the title for this morning's topic and theme is 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers. 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers. Off the back, this is actually a topic that really addresses a topic. And what do I mean by that? This is a topic that addresses a topic. Okay. Probably about 2 months ago, I think it was, right? I mean, it seemed like the days and the weeks and the months are going by so fast, right? I had put together an article that I posted up on my website, right? And the article, right? The article, I'm going to share it up on the screen, is titled this. You'll see it in the description box below. If it's not there now in the stream, I'll definitely post it up and put it in the description box below. But I did an article on that's the November 2nd, it was how children belong to their father. And it's spurred up some conversations, some thoughts, some reactions, right? and so we took in a number of objections, and that's the reason why we decided to do this topic for this morning, which I said is really a topic addressing another topic, right? So this is the 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers, right? So what we're going to do is we have some dear sisters in the kingdom, in Torah, are particularly who hail down in the beautiful tropical island of Dominica. And they fellowship with our sister Deborah, They are in community with each other, right? And they are there strengthening one another, and they are there encouraging one another, right? They're learning and they're growing. And they had some beef about this article, right? And so in a Yah-fearing loving way, we decided to make a stream, right? To make a stream to address the 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers. So obviously the objections are coming from a number of these sisters, these Yah-fearing sisters. Some of them are they have custody of their children. They are single mothers, um, and so I guess this particular article, I don't want to use the word struck a nerve, but it touched them in a certain way. And so in being touched a certain way, they push for this. So we're gonna address these objections. Now the title says 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers, but it's as we comb through, well, as I've combed through, in preparation, definitely would help with our dear sister Deborah. If I comb through in preparation, the objections, they tend to overlap. So it may not be 10, but it's just the title, right? 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers. And so we're going to start this off. I see we got another comment that's coming in the comment section. Oh yeah, Hotel Sarah, the wife belongs to the husband, so anything that comes from the wife belongs to the husband, including the children. He's starting right
off the bat.
Shalom, brother Sarah. Blessings to you, man. Thank you. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? What do you think? You know what? We'll save that thought because we're going to actually get to that point, right? Because he makes a powerful, interesting point. He's actually presenting a principle, right? But we'll get to that. Thank you for that, brother. So let me take this off the screen and bring us back to here. All right. Okay. So I think the best thing to do is to start off with some video clips. Let's get this percolating, right? Okay. I know y'all tired of hearing my voice already. So let's get to some video clips and let's see what a lot of mothers who are single mothers, well, not a lot, because we only got a few clips here, but some of the mothers in the community, in the larger community, not necessarily Torah observing, right? Bible believing, but are in the larger community, the world, right? Who share similar sentiments in terms of their objections to fathers having, the children as in custody as opposed to the mothers, or why the children's are better off with the mothers. So we're going to hear their opinions and we could talk about them, one by one, if that's all right. And so those of you who are in the comment section, definitely we invite you, in the chat room to, get into the discussion. Like brother Sarah, Hotel Sarah, he wasted no time just putting it out there. Right? He came out with his guns blazing. Okay. So he came out fully loaded. So definitely, chime in, as the spirit leads, right? So brothers and sisters, all alike, right? So that's the thing about Shabbat Morning Bible Dig is Shabbat Morning Bible Dig is a community at large, right? Fellowship, right? So it's not a virtual fellowship. So it's not just, specifically to men as Masculinity Monday is catered towards. But before we get started, as a reminder, if you see this content today, if you are watching it on a live stream or you'll get to catch it on a playback, definitely, if you get value out of this, do like the video and subscribe. If you've never subscribed to the channel, don't forget to click the notification bell so that you can get future uploads as we upload and post on this channel. And definitely, if you'd like to comment, do comment, but we ask that you comment with respect, right, in what you say, all right, because this is a community, and so there are people that are clicking on, children are clicking on, right, so we want to be respectful, right, of all parties within the community, as well as don't keep that love to yourself. If you get value out of this content, do not hesitate to share the link with somebody that you know would need and would benefit from this content that we're talking about today, all right, or would have an interest. Okay,
Yeah.
y'all ready? Y'all sure?
Yeah.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Brace yourself. Brace yourself.
All right, all right, all right. So here we go. So we're gonna start off with some video clips, as we said, and we're gonna go one by. Oh, we got another comment coming in. Let me get that comment. It's Sister Eden. Shalom. She said, "I haven't been a wife yet. No man has asked my father for me as yet." Wow. Yeah, I mean, that is another reality that a lot of single women find themselves in, is that they are single mothers by status, right? Of course. And the man that they may have a child with, or the man that they're with and they may not have a child with, right, has never asked them to marry them, right? You know, Yeshua talked about, he talked to the woman at the well, and after basically spiritually discerning her and reading her spirit, right, he says to the woman, "Woman, where is your husband?" And her response is, she says, "I have none." And he says, "You're right in saying that you don't have one." He said, "You have had 5 husbands, and the one that you are with now is not your husband." So it's very much possible that a woman can be with a man, right, even go as far as to have a child with a man, and he not be her husband. That's something else that we're going to tackle as we get further.
We need to cover that topic,
Yes,
brother.
yes. So we're definitely that's gonna definitely more than likely come up. If it doesn't come up, please remind me, right? That I said in the very beginning, right? That we're going to touch this thing about a woman having children from a man, or a woman being in a relationship with a man, or even as far as living with a man and he not be her husband. We'll deal with that. Okay. So, all right. So good. Thank you for that, Sister Eden. All right. So let's go with our first video clip. All right. Here we go.
Mad at the sperm donor for not helping me with the kids and not getting his kids and taking care of his children, because I realized, what could he possibly teach them? What can he teach my son? How you responsibility? How?
Let's play that again.
I stopped being mad at the sperm donor for not helping me with the kids and not getting his kids and taking care of his children, because I realized, what could he possibly teach them? What can he teach my son? How you responsibility? How? I stopped being mad at
years ago. Let me stop that one. Years ago, and bring us back into a full screen. Years ago, I was at the beach, and I was in the water, and it was a little boy. I was with my daughter, and we were in the water. We were enjoying our water. We were having a good time. The waves were coming in and what have you. And it was this little boy, and he just, like, for some reason, he just kind of gravitated towards us. And he just struck up conversation. He wanted to talk. And I mean, like, this little boy, like, at a certain point, I felt kind of like, self-conscious, like, well, this little boy looking too close. I don't want nobody to be thinking, he just felt comfortable talking with us. And so then we started talking and asking, like, about each other's families and so forth and whatnot. And, his mom was standing back, and she was looking at him, talking with us, right? And he was like, "Yeah, that's my mom right there." He says, "I live with my mom only, And I said, "Well, what about your dad?" He said, "Oh, you mean my sperm donor?" He He says, no, no, I don't live with my sperm donor. I only live with my mom. And you know, that was the very first time I've ever heard anyone use that phrase. I never heard a woman use that phrase before. I heard a little boy use that phrase. So
Yeah.
obviously it was a phrase that he learned, he picked up from somewhere. You know,
Yeah.
any ideas of where he possibly picked that up from? So this woman in this particular video basically says that she stopped being mad at the sperm donor for helping her with the kids. What do you guys think about this particular clip here? Panel, right?
Off the bat, she contradicted herself right away by saying she stopped being mad, yet using the term sperm donor.
Sperm donor. So is it safe to say that the term sperm donor isn't a term of endearment?
No, it's not even a human. He doesn't even have a human.
Yeah, she dehumanizes him, right? By calling him just a sperm donor. Because I mean, when you think of the sperm donor and what the sperm donor does, like there's no relationship, right? It's just somebody donating their sperm at a sperm bank and a woman using that same sperm to become pregnant. And that's it. That's the only contribution, right? And he gets some money in return, right? So yeah, I mean, wow. What do you say? Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Sister?
No, ask your brother Noah.
Yeah, no. What do you think about this when you heard this clip?
I heard first she was talking about his children, and then she starts talking about how she's upset, and then they become my son. Now that you know that it's a
that's
saying that children are a pawn.
Yeah,
they play on that.
There's a but I don't know whether she said his children. Did she say the children or his children?
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure she said his.
Let's play that clip again. Play that clip again.
I stopped being mad at the sperm donor for not helping me with the kids and not getting his kids and taking care of his children, because I realized, what could he possibly teach them? What could he teach my son? How you responsibility? How?
So she stopped being mad with the sperm donor, right? Did you guys hear that? I didn't even pull it up on the screen. I'm so sorry.
No, that's good actually. It's good. We saw it. It's just hearing it's more important. So that's good.
Right. So okay. So she stopped being mad. So at no point did she acknowledge in this. Help me if I missed it. At no point did she say his kids. Did she say his kids? No,
she did.
She said his kids. I said children. Correct me. It was his kids, but same difference. You know.
We know.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Shalom, brother Jeremy. Blessings. Good to see you, brother.
She did say his kids 3 times. Hi, brother.
You can probably turn it up a little bit. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. How about that?
Excellent.
Okay. Cool.
You sound like you're
Sorry
in charge.
about that, guys.
Yeah. Excellent. You sound like you're in charge.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were saying, brother Noah,
about how she first starts with saying that they're his kids, and then as she goes more into the emotion of being upset at him, she then says that my son,
right?
Yeah,
right. So she's divorced him from the children. She gave him a bill of divorce from the children, so to say, right? Right. You were going to add something else to that, Sister Deborah?
No, because it's ironic. He's a sperm donor, yet it's his children. So she's in conflict.
Yeah,
it sounds like she's in a lot of conflict.
There's conflict.
Utter delusion.
All right. Right. Okay. Anybody want to put their finger on what they may think that conflict may be?
Nah.
No.
I think it's what we're talking about. The core is whose responsibility are these children, right? Because she's talking about he's not taking responsibility, yet she's ready to dismiss him as not even being a father.
Okay. If we're gonna go with a hypothetical, if the children belong to the father, right, we can liken it to any other situation where let's just say the authority of maintaining law and order is in the hands of the police, right? How do you think a person would feel if they're being beat down, jumped down, robbed, mugged right in front of the police, and the police are doing nothing?
Then they're being negligent. They're not doing their duty.
They're not doing their duty, right? Right. So do you think that that is part of her conflict, that she feels that, you know, it is his duty, but he's just not right? He's not living up to his duty, right? Safe to
So
say
ultimately, she knows that it's his duty.
she knows it is his duty, but she also speaks from the perspective as though they're no longer his kids, or they're not his kids, right?
Well, that's the conflict, because she's using two terms. So there's a war going on.
Yeah, contradiction, right? Exactly.
I mean, they aren't
Yeah.
his kids.
Yeah.
She reproduced asexually, so his sperm had played no part in it. And he was just a face to make it look like, you know, she wasn't a demon. And so technically they aren't his kids, you know, according to her mindset, you know, they're all hers.
Right. So she's just in her mind. She's justified in her mind, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But when she needs something, it's time for that face to show up and provide.
Can I know you're being funny, but let me intersect. I do know friends, acquaintances who've had literal sperm donors from the bank, and they have no emotional attachment to, and no expectations, and no conflicts there. It's quite clear what they chose and what they got.
Speaking
so there's that. Yeah.
Speaking of sperm donor, I remember I'm not sure which one of us we were having a conversation on. We may have touched it on one of the streams. I can't remember, about the guy that got arrested, where he was going to different countries and he had like over 1,000 children.
He's a Dutchman. Yeah.
Wow, there's a sperm donor, right? Like, made this into a business, right?
He made millions, man.
That's good. Yeah, you know, and it was like the mothers or the children were finding and coming in contact with each other and not knowing that they were siblings. He had like over 1,000 children. Wow. He has like over 1,000 children, right? So they arrested him. Yeah, it's crazy. That is crazy.
I wanted to ask Sister Deborah, those and I know it happens. It's just not broadcast as often. Those women that actually went to go have those sperm donors, did they have that attitude towards the men they got sperm from at the bank?
No, they literally saw it as a chemical reaction.
Just that. Yeah, just that. Like you said,
so
no
we
attachment. No
so
attachment.
we can draw from. Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I said just no attachment. Right. That's all. I was just adding.
So we can draw from this woman that there was more of an attachment than just a sperm donor. She uses that term to demean the father because the father didn't do what she thought was best, because she wanted to run the house.
Yeah. You know what? Come to think of it, that's a good point, Brother Jay. Think about it. Just think about quiet noise, right? You hear the rain outside. The sound of the rain can be going on for an hour, 2 hours, right? But at a certain point of the hour, 2 hour span, right, you're not even thinking of the rain, right? The rain is there, but the sound of the rain is there, but to you, it's not in your purview. It's not in your conscious, you know, it's not something that you're thinking of, right? Actively thinking of, although it's there. You can hear it, but it's not there. And I think that's kind of like what it becomes, you know. This man who I have this child by or with, you know, he's there, but he's like quiet noise to me. That's the emphasis that they want to make. But to go as far as to go on TikTok and to make a video so that the whole world can see, shows that she notices that he's shirking his responsibility and not doing as easy and derelict of his responsibility than not, right? So, you know, the fact that she's broadcasting this, you know, internationally only goes to show that it is affecting her. So what would be the purpose of, broadcasting this private information, right, to the world, if it does not have an effect, if he's just a donor?
Yeah. And see, so demeaning it to just a donor is a lie. It's a conflict that it's not sitting with him.
Right.
He's not just a donor.
He's not just a donor to her. She's making that obvious. Faith says, but he's still a father, even if it's a bad father. So true. Bless.
Is he a bad father? Is he really a bad father? Or did he just? I mean, he
she's saying he's bad.
life.
She's saying he's bad because he's not providing for his children. That's
what. But without him, she wouldn't have the child.
Right. Here's the question, though: can a father be bad? Is it possible for a father to be bad? Is it possible for a mother to be bad? Is it possible for a preacher to be bad? Is it possible for a king to be bad? Right. So can a father be bad?
Absolutely. I mean, it is possible for women and fathers.
So she very well be accurate in her description that he's not being responsible as a dad, but because he's not being responsible, is he just a sperm donor? That's the question.
You can't be a sperm donor and be judged with that
label, right? With that label, right? Blessed Up says, blessings to you, Blessed Up.
You guys, I know you're from the Caribbean with all these little names you give yourself, Irie and Blessing. You guys are Caribbean.
She said, my child was parentally kidnapped by the father out of malice. I firmly believe children belong with a loving and caring mother. Taking away from mom causes traumatic break. Bad moms, different story. Okay. So here's a question. Based on what she says, is there a problem with fathers taking the children, or in her terms, kidnapping the child? So kidnapping would mean that the father would come, maybe spend some time with the child, and without the mother knowing, leave with the child and take the child to a location where the mother does not know, right? Is it okay for a father to do that, guys?
Yep.
It is, Brother Jay. Okay. Can you expound and elaborate on that?
Oh, absolutely. The children belong to the man. It's his household. They belong to his household. They come from his, they come from his ball sack. His testosterone or seed. He just plants it in the woman. So he's actually giving a gift to the woman. So I mean, they initially belong to him.
There was a.
Go ahead, brother.
No, this made me think of it. You got to finish your thought. I'll get it out.
No. Okay. I was just saying.
I just thought of something. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying. So initially they belong to the man. It's a gift from him to her. To your earlier sentiment, yeah, man can't. Come on, bro. I'm sorry. I just saw this comment. Yeah, they do come from a man. Despite what many women believe, your womb is barren until life is planted. So go argue with God. We didn't make it this way. We just operate in His construct.
Okay,
but
we're gonna get more into that deeper. I wanted to bring up this point. OJ Simpson recently passed, right? OJ had gotten arrested and gotten convicted probably like about 15 years ago, I think it was. He got arrested and convicted because he, with some other friends, accomplices, went to a hotel room with somebody who had some of his memorabilia. I think his Heisman Trophy that he won from college, some other items and possessions I think that he had. And so he went there with some friends and he had a gun. He went to go take his stuff back, right? Wow. But he got arrested and got convicted because one of the guys that was there with him actually set him up. So this was an entrapment. He set him up, and that's how he got arrested for stealing his own possession. So here's the question: is it possible that someone can steal their own possession?
No. Now, in OJ's case, possession is 9/10 of the law. That's what he got in trouble.
That's a good question, Brother Michael.
Yeah, can you steal what belongs to you? I mean, that's the thought to consider. Like, is a man stealing what belongs to him, or maybe it doesn't belong to him? Right? Because if he takes it and it doesn't belong to him, then we know that's theft, right? That's thievery, right? That's stealing. But if you take something that belonged to his, like his shirt, his pants, what's the difference from him taking his child? Let's look at some more comments. All right, so yeah, go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say the difference is one has created something. You know, that's his DNA mark. That's him. You know, that's what he's leaving into the world. It grows up, it goes out into the world. You know, regardless of what anybody says. So that's the difference.
That's the difference. That's the difference. So
you know, it's like
you're saying biologically it belongs to him.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Sister Deborah, you were gonna say?
So I like to think of it like a shepherd. He has a female sheep that gave birth to a baby sheep. It's still, both of them are his sheep. Okay, fine. Somebody passes by and takes the baby sheep away. And he has the right to go back and claim his sheep. Everybody knows that. He can go back and take it back, right? It's his. Now, when the mother sheep decides to leave with her baby and go somewhere else, he can take both of you back.
He could take both of them back.
Because you both belong to him. But anyways.
No. I think you wanted something, but then why do you say that? Why does he have the right to take both of them, the mother and the sheep?
Because when we're looking at in a farmer's perspective, the sheep belongs to the shepherd. It's not independent of the shepherd. And even if she bears fruit, more sheep, all of them are his.
Right. So the sheep and the baby sheep, right? That's called the lamb, right? I'm not a farmer.
The lamb, right? Yeah, the lamb.
The sheep and the lamb both belong to the farmer. So metaphorically, you're saying that the man in this case is the shepherd. So
he's always the shepherd.
The woman belongs to him, right? As well as the lambs belong to him, or the children belongs to him. So he has, you're saying, an authoritative right, right? A possessive right to the children just as much as he has to the woman. And so if the woman belongs to him, then the children belongs to him. That's the point here. And I think Brother Hotel Sarah made that point earlier. Right, he made that point earlier. Let me skim back to it. We got a number. We're lighting up like a.
You're getting yourself in trouble, Brother Michael.
We're lighting up over here. Yeah, brother Sarah said, he said the wife belongs to the husband, so anything that comes from the wife belongs to the husband, including the children. Including
the word is
the husband has to plant those children.
Husbandry, shepherd. We got to think farmers.
All right. See, now you starting up mess, Sister Deborah. Okay, so all right. Now you're asking us to define terms. So what does the word husband actually mean? So we're gonna have to look that up. What does the word husband actually mean? All right, so now because she's starting mess. It's early in the morning. Why you gonna start conflict early in the morning?
We gotta clear things up. This is what we're here.
All right, so early in the morning. I'm telling you, right? Got a headache. All right. Husband. What does husband mean? Matter of fact, let's go to the etymology of the word, right? Husband. Like the original meaning of the word in English. Like, what does that mean, right? Husband, right? Let me go to etymology. That's my favorite site in finding out these things. Okay, you guys with me? Yep. All right. Okay. All right. Just want to clear my screen so we can see everyone's faces. And I want to make sure that I get back to where we left off in the comment sections. All right. So husband means in the Old English. This is what it means. And mostly everyone here is speaking English as far as I on the panel at least. It is Old English husbanda or husbanda, male head of a household, master of a house, householder. So if he is the master and he's the head of the house, right? Does the house belong to him?
Mm-hmm.
It says not only house, it says he's the householder. So, or a householder, meaning that the household belongs to him. So what would be the household?
Everything.
Everything
That is under him.
in that house. So is it only the woman that's the household?
Nope.
Is it only the children that's the house part of the household?
No, even
Nope.
his servants
Even
that were living with him, the nanny, whoever's living with him.
belongs to the man.
Even the
Right?
even the grass, the roach under the refrigerator, that all belongs to him.
Right?
The dog, the cat, the
Yeah.
roach. No,
Yes.
the roaches are not allowed.
So probably from Norse husbandi, which means master of house, literally house dweller. From hus means house, right? Bondi means householder, dweller, freeholder, peasant. From bondi, which buandi represent participle of bua, to dwell, right? To be, exist, to grow. Compare bond, right? So I think that pretty much defines the term for us in our English. So husband means master, right? He's
A
the
husband,
house of the
three.
household, right?
So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Let,
But
let's,
isn't there a verb? Isn't it also a word as a verb?
there's a verb.
Husbandry is a verb.
Husbandry. Let's go back to that. All right. See, now you add into it. See, you stay keeping mess going, Sister Deborah. All right, here we go. All right, hold on a second. I did something here. Okay, I think I took us out of present screen. That's what I did. Okay,
Yep.
That's what happened. Yeah, I took us out of present screen. All right. I think husbandry is on there. All right, so let's go. If we take this down to the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, it might be on there. Yeah, here it is. No, husband. It means to manage. All right, from husband and obviously steward, right? Husbanding, right? So, right. Then husbandry. Let me put husbandry up there. Let's make it simple. Husbandry. So, I mean, for those of you who are coming on for the first time, this is what we do over here. We study real time, right? We don't shy away from studying real time. Okay, husbandry. It is the management of a household as a farm management, right? And it is a noun, right? So in a now obsolete sense, a peasant farmer, right? So it's the management of the husband, right? Right. So the peasant farmers were the farmers who worked the land that was owned by the landlord, right? But right, but it is ultimately owned by the owner of the land, right? Which would be the master, right? The husband, the husbandry.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. So we could come on out of here and let's go back to we have some more comments I want to get to. All right, here we go. All right, so Faith says any parent can be bad. Edith says, yes, some mothers are bad and some fathers are bad. All right. I'm sure most people probably would agree with that. Alicia says sometimes women do things that drive the men away and they don't realize it.
No, y'all are angels. Y'all are angels on earth.
Yeah, do women do things that drive a man away? I mean, is that
they do nothing wrong? They do
now?
nothing wrong.
Here's a question I'm gonna add on to what Alicia says. Is it possible that a woman can make a man drive a man away, right? But then now complain that the man is not taking care of his responsibility?
Yes.
Nah, he just wasn't man enough for the situation. She was too much woman for him.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
It's subtle. It's subtle. It starts way before the child was even born.
Yeah.
You know, the grade, the The relationship degraded, the respect went down, the criticism went up, the nagging continued, the struggle for power, and to the point where this happened. It's not overnight that the man becomes a bad father, just like not overnight a woman becomes a bad mother.
So you're saying that she has thoughts, and I'm just going to say thoughts for now. She has thoughts of usurping his authority and ownership of his children, right? Even from the child being in the womb. Even at that stage, she's already getting those thoughts, right, in her mind. Because my body, my choice, right? Now, isn't that what the culture says?
Wow. Are we going to go there? Yeah.
Right. If it's coming from my body, then it's got to be mine, right? Right. It's got to be mine, right? But again, we just saw with husbandry, right, that even though the peasant farmer is working the land, he's not the ultimate owner. So just because he's bearing the process of doing the plant time, seeding, and harvesting, right? He's not the ultimate owner of the seed, nor the land, right? Nor himself, right? Because he's owned by that landowner. These are all properties of the landowner.
But they're all, and just like a husband is also submitting a offering one. We know that he has to submit and be stewards of Yeshua, the king, over him as well.
And everything, the parable of the talents, even though the talents were given to each servant, but who did the talents ultimately belong to? Whether if the servant got 1 talent, 2 talents, or 5 talents in Jesus's parable in Matthew 20:25, right? Who did the talents ultimately belong to? The unjust steward, right? The master, right? So they ultimately belong to, because they're in your care, right? I mean,
that's a point.
The same thing could be said for the man. Even though the woman and the children, right, that comes through the woman, that comes from the man's seed, ultimately belongs to the man in a domestic sense, but in a divine sense, a spiritual sense, and a kingdom sense, the man, his seed, the woman, the children, the house, and everything belongs to Yah, because what does he tell us in his word, right? He says, all flesh is mine. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So everything that's in the earth belongs to the Most High, right? So in that same sense, the husband, the man, the landowner, the manager, right? The Lord of the land, right? Everything in that dwelling belongs to him. Everything in that belongs under his sphere, under his reign of authority, right? What do you guys say on that? I mean, that's just me throwing something out there. I could be wrong. Help me out.
Well, you go to Galatians if you want to prove it in scriptures, because of the headship is there. The headship of whose responsibility.
Galatians or Ephesians?
Galatians. I believe it's Galatians. Isn't it?
You mean Galatians? You mean Ephesians 5?
The man at the head of the.
Yeah, that's Ephesians 5.
Ephesians, sorry.
Yeah, Ephesians 5. Yeah, we can go there. Thank you very much. See, she coming with some word. All right, here we go. Where is my? Oh, there we go.
Also, 1 Corinthians 11:3.
1 Corinthians 11:3. Okay, yeah, we can go there as well. Let's look at some word. Let's look at some word. 5:23. Okay. All right, let me blow her up. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
No, Deborah's probably not going to be able to see it because it has a.
We got it.
So let me. All right. So Ephesians 5:22 rather. It says, "Wives, be subject to your own husbands, as to Yahweh. For the husband is the head of the wife." Very similar to what we read in the Etymology Online website, right? That the husband is the head of the wife. Very similar to Brother Sierra's, Hotel Sierra's comment when he said that the wife belongs to the man, and so any child produced from the wife belongs to the man as well, right? So you can't have this sense of the children belonging to the wife and not belong to the man, right? Because she belongs to the man. That's the whole point. And so here, without even talking about children, Paul is saying that the wife basically is under the headship of the man. So if she's under his headship, okay, let's look at this in an analogous format. Okay, Paul is obviously using metaphorical language here, right? Because a man and a woman in a marital situation, right? He is not a literal head, but the word head is used metaphorically of his position, of his status, of his title, right? So let's continue in that same, form of analogy. Does the hand ever say, well, you know what? I'm going to take my feet and we're going to leave, right? Right? This head, right, is a bad head, right? And since the head is no longer doing nothing for us, right? You gotta pop the head, shake the head and roll the fingers, right? And since the head ain't doing nothing for us, right? The head is nothing but a thought donor.
No, you can't say that.
You can't say that, right? Does the hand have the ability to remove itself from under the headship of the head?
Does the hand have the ability to remove
Does the hand have the ability to do that?
Not voluntarily.
The hand would need the head to decide to cut itself off.
Yes. Can never even do that on its own. No.
Even to cut itself off, the hand would need the head to decide to cut it off.
Interesting.
Right?
Wow.
Just as in Torah, a woman can only be severed if the man gives her a bill of divorce.
Wow.
She cannot cut herself off. She does not have the ability nor the power to do it, even though she may physically separate herself, right? She's still attached. She could be 1,000 miles away. She's still in his headship.
Again, it's a tough decision. Oh gosh.
Say it ain't so.
I need a glass of water. Where's the water?
Did I say something bad? She could be on the other side of the planet and she's still under his headship.
You're making fire. You're putting fire on us here. Oh my gosh. I didn't get that concept. Like, just like a hand can't cut itself off.
It can't cut itself off.
No.
So all these women. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was going to kind of add to it and flip it. So all these women that are running rampant in America, thinking that they're divorcing their husbands, you're still married. You just out committing adultery.
You're still married. You're still married because
that man never gave you a bill of divorce.
I mean, what did the Apostle Paul say about this? Romans 7. He says this. He says, or do you not know, brethren, for I speaking to those who know the law, know the Torah, that Torah has just jurisdiction over a person as long as he lives. Right? For life, right? Mm-hmm. Or do you not, he says, for the married woman is bound by law to her husband while he is living, not because he's in Japan, not because he's in Antarctica, right? As long as he is living, she is bound to him. But if her husband dies, she is released from the Torah, from the law concerning the husband. So what is the thing that releases the woman from her man?
Death.
Death. Right? Yeah. Here's Romans 7:3. So then, if while her husband is living, she joined to another man. So she's decided, I'm going to sever myself. I'm going to cut myself off from this union, right? I'm going to cut myself off of this union. Hold on, let me do a little house cleaning here. I'm going to sever myself from off of this union, right? And then decide, you know what? I just replace him. I just get me a new man, right? Hypergamy, right? Making more money, look better. He got the 666. He's 6 feet with the 6-pack and the 6 figures, right? So I'm just going to replace him, right? With hypergamy, right? And she joins to another man. Paul says she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is free from the law, so that she is not an adulteress, though she is joined to another man. So the only way that she has any license to start a whole new life. Now, granted, we're not even talking about children in the game. At this point, we're not even, just as in Ephesians 5, we weren't even talking about children. We're just talking about headship. We're just talking about a union that cannot be severed. Okay. Anything you guys want to say or add to that?
Wow.
Elizabeth said sometimes women do things that drive them in a way and they don't realize it's facts. Eden says maternal separation can cause deep trauma. This is true. And that's a very interesting point, Sister Eden. Maternal separation, the separation of the mother can cause deep trauma. But who suffers that trauma the most?
The child.
The child.
The child. The child suffers the trauma the most. The child suffers the trauma the most. You all agree on that, right? I mean,
I've seen it firsthand.
You've seen it firsthand, right?
Yeah.
So, maternal separation causes deep trauma, right? And when she says maternal separation, I'm wondering, is she talking about the mother separates herself from the man, right, with the child?
The mother being removed from the like, if she hands the child over to the father, her maternal means the mother being removed from the child. That's what she.
Right. That's what she said.
I think you'll see that in one of our reviews. We'll get to that later.
Oh, okay, I get it. But here's the deal. If there's a bond and attachment to both mother and child, right?
Yep.
I think it's safe to say that there's going to be trauma either way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Child, right? You remove a child from its mother that it's bonded with, there's going to be trauma. You remove a child that's bonded with the father, where there's bonding with, there's going to be trauma. It goes either way, and that's just the reality of bonding with someone, right? When you bond with something and then you snatch it away, it's a tearing away. Yeah. Tearing away is painful. Yeah. I mean, you could just tear off a Band-Aid, right? That's been bonded for a bit of time, right? Keep a Band-Aid on all day long and then snatch that Band-Aid off at the end of the day. Tell me you're not gonna feel trauma. Tell me you're not gonna feel shock and pain.
Yes, that connection's been there.
Connection's been there. And so once you sever it, once you remove it, especially in a violent way, right, there's gonna be some trauma that's involved.
But the question is that are we trumping the trauma of the child to the Torah, to Yah's command?
Are we
so,
okay. Okay. Could you elaborate, expound on that, and can you say it in another way so that we make sure that everyone is clear on what you just
agree. Okay, we agree that it's traumatic to separate the mother from the child or the father from the child, right? So there has to be one in charge. And we're saying it is, the society says that it's traumatic for either way. It's traumatic, but society right now tends to lean towards the mother's problem being more severe.
Right.
But Torah is making it very clear that the child belongs to the father. So which is more important, to obey Torah or to go with what is more traumatic? In which case we will say that the child being removed from the mother is more traumatic. So we're gonna, which one trumps? The law of Yah or the emotions of the child? Let me say it that way.
Okay. So basically you're saying what is more, now you're talking about severing more so from divine prescription versus secular prescription. Like which one is more traumatic, right? So is it more traumatic to sever based on what the secular society says than it is to sever based on what Torah says, right? So if Torah is saying that everyone in the man's household belongs to him, right? Then and then the secular society is basically leaning more towards the woman, that it's okay for the woman to sever. Which one is more trauma? Like, If Torah is in line with what Yah has created and what He's established, right, which is going to have the most impact, violating Torah or violating secular culture?
You see, so I'm wondering, we think that we know better than what Yah has already set up.
Here's another passage that comes to my mind. Exodus 20, 17. Exodus 20:17. This is the 10th commandment, right? Of the Decalogue, right? The 10th commandment, right? And this is what it says. It says, "You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor." So here's the question: who's the neighbor in this text, in this commandment?
The man in charge of the house.
It's the man in charge of my. Could it be a man or a woman, based on the language in the passage? What is the passage? What is the commandment implying that this is gender wise?
What doesn't belong to you?
No. What is the commandment that I want to make sure you get my question? Is the commandment suggesting or implying that this is speaking to males and females, or males only, or females only? What is the best inference that we could come away with? That this
inference is both.
Both.
So you see what word in here?
I see it as a male because it says that it's your neighbor's house, and it belongs. You know, what belongs to your neighbor is his slave, his wife, female,
right,
master of the house,
right.
But am I wrong?
I agree with you. All of the commandments were written specifically to men on behalf of their whole households. So just like the book of First Corinthians, the letter First Corinthians was written to the assembly at Corinth 2,000 years ago. It wasn't written to us. It was written to them, for us, for our benefit, but not to us. You get what I'm saying? So this 10th commandment benefits everyone within a household, but it's not written to the slave. It's not written. It's not written. It's not written to the sheep. It's not written to the wife. It's not written to the daughter. It's not written to. It's only written specifically to the shepherd of that house. It's only written specifically to the husband of that house, the master of that house. That's who it's written to. And so all of the Decalogue, all of the 10 commandments are written specifically to men, right? Because the assembly comprised of men, right? And so it was about the men governing their house. And so what did Yah not want to happen here? He didn't want men coveting anything that belonged to other men, to their neighbors. He saw a problem in coveting or lusting in that way. All right, we saw Yeshua, take from this when he says that when a man looks on a woman and lusts after her, right, he's already committed what? Adultery within his heart, right? So he's already committed adultery within his heart because he's already looked at someone else's possessions in desiring of that possession for himself in his heart. So it was a spiritual sin that's committed. And so the implication here is that the wife belongs, according to the 10th commandment, the wife belongs to the husband. She is a belonging. What's another word for a belonging?
Property.
Possession.
Possession, property, right? So does a slave the man's possession?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it
actually it's always the man's house? It's never Sarah's house or Hagar's house. It's always Abram's house.
It's never called that. It's never titled that way. It's never labeled that way in scripture. Never. Belongs to your neighbor. Let's look at this word belongs to your neighbor in the Hebrew, right? Let's get the pronunciation.
Strong's H 7453.
Raya, right? All right. So what does raya means, right? So it is an associate, more or less close. So this is a brother, right? A neighbor, right? Okay, a friend, a companion. So in this particular, let's look for Exodus 20:17 in here. I gotta drop it down. Exodus 20:17. That's 2016, 17. All right. Okay. In weaker sense, fellow citizen, even another person whom one stands in a reciprocal relationship. So there's a reciprocal relationship between the neighbors, right? There's a certain level of respect that, you show me and I show you, right? And in this regard, this particular respect is in reference to what belongs to the neighbor, right? What is it of the possession of the neighbor? Still doesn't give me a specific definition for that word, but called, right? This Hebrew word call here means everything in totality, right? The whole thing. So the whole thing is his. So anything that comes from that whole thing, that call, right, is
Yeah.
it's under his headship, is under his management, is under his ownership. It belongs to him. Just as the furniture, just as the tools, just as the land is his property, so too is the wife his property, based off of what is being implied here in this passage. Anything you guys want to say or add to that?
I think we're just fighting we have our indoctrination of the Western society, because we always knew that even other cultures know the property, because the family structure as being the head, being the man, and everything under his authority and his ownership. Yeah.
Right, under his authority and his ownership. Exactly. Brothers, anything you got to say to that?
No, I don't have anything to say to that. I was going to ask you guys want to slide through these comments real quick.
Yeah.
What about you, brother?
Yeah, you can read through them, brother Jay.
All right. Next one is Sister Eden. Says they come from our uterus. Ballsack, LOL. The next one comes from Erie Heights. It says the lady in the video clip is also stating, what could he teach her son, especially on the topic of responsibility? I guess as she misses the father being responsible. Could be it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because here's it. Would it be his duty to teach his child responsibility? Right.
Yeah. While you were reading out the scripture, brother, I was over here looking up the statistic for when it switches off, like where fathers are needed more than the mothers, and it's looking like about 7, 8, 9 years old, where they need their father more because the father typically does prepare the child for life. The mother's needed for nurturing and caring, but they get to a certain point to where they can walk, talk, and go to the restroom on their own. And the man who's out in the world dealing with the world now has to take that child all the way up to 18, showing them how to operate in the world. So yeah.
Right.
All right. The next one is would separating from the father not also cause trauma? In fact, it does.
It does.
We see that in the modern world.
It works both ways.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hotel Sierra says, and it doesn't cause a traumatic experience for the child to be taken. I guess he was asking a question here.
Okay.
All right. Eden said, yes, it can, especially if they have a close connection. Erie Heights says the perfect way is to have father and mother, the chosen seed in the chosen field. Amen to that. I was thinking the same thing.
Yes, Irie Heights, brother. Irie
Heights. I'm sorry.
Irie Heights.
I'm working on one good eye right now.
Yeah, Irie, right? Yeah.
Shabbat shalom, brother Rufus. Glad to have you in here.
Hey, Shabbat shalom, Pastor. Blessings to you, man. Good to see you. Good to see your avatar.
Thank you, Rufus. Good seeing you. Shalom.
Yeah.
He says everything in the house belonging to the man.
Yeah.
Hotel Sierra says to take the child from the father also causes a traumatic experience. Miss Eden says, so are you saying that having a child with a man equates to biblical marriage?
Right, let's park
it might as well. I mean, sex seals the covenant.
Wait.
Park right there. Hold on a second.
It's his marriage.
Question. Excellent question. Okay, so she's asking, if a woman has a child by a man, does that make that man her husband? What do you guys say?
I say yes.
I'm gonna go while I go to the scripture. What do you guys say?
Yeah, while you pull up the scripture, I say yes. What about the rest of you guys?
Yes.
All right, Sister Deborah.
I'm going to say it's Shabbat, and I'm going to let the brothers teach theology because that's a theology thing. Keep my mouth
She's
shut.
trying not to lose subscribers today. That's all. She's trying to keep her subscribers today. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So I'm pulling up the passage. Let me go to the video. Okay. All right. So you guys can see this Exodus 22:16.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So this is based on Sister Eden's questions. Is the child that a woman has with a man equates to biblical marriage with the man? Right. Okay. Here we go. Exodus 22:16 says, if a man seduces a virgin, is not engaged, and lies with her, he must pay a dowry for her to be his wife. So what makes the virgin he has sex with become his wife?
The consummation of the agreement or the covenant.
Okay.
Would you be having sex with her?
I rock with that. And is that it? Is that the only thing? Because that's basically the question. If she has child from this man, so obviously if a woman has a child from this man, they had sex. Does that make the man her husband?
It doesn't say that in the scripture. That's not like only if she doesn't get. There's no clause saying whether she's pregnant or not.
It doesn't say whether she's pregnant. Now this is really just being based on having sex.
Exactly.
Right?
So she possibly could be pregnant, but the whole point is that he still has to pay a dowry to the man.
He has to pay
to the father,
and he has to engage her. Here's what the text is saying. If a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged, in other words, she is not legally contracted. In other words, her father did not legally contract her with another man. Right? And he lies with her, he must pay a dowry. So this woman is free in terms of being on the market. She's marketable, put it that way. Once she becomes engaged, she's no longer marketable. Why? Because she becomes the woman, the wife, or the property, or the betrothal of a man. Such as in the case of Mary, right? Mary, Joseph did not know Mary when she conceived, right? And because he was espoused to her, meaning that he had a contract, he had a legal contract that he made with her father, this virgin called Mary, right? She was his possession. He just did not consummate it sexually, but he did have a legal agreement. So once there's a legal agreement, it's called an espousal, it's called a betrothal, it's called an engagement, right? That's what that is. It's the legal contract, right? The legal agreement. The other thing that has to take place is that there has to be a consummation. There has to be sex. So in this passage, you have the inverse. You have sex, but no contract. This virgin in verse 16 has no engagement with any man, but this one man lies with her, and now he must pay a dowry for her to be his wife, because part of the agreement is that the man pays a dowry for the virgin in exchange to be his wife. That's part of the agreement, right? And it says, and if her father absolutely refuses to give him to her, he shall pay money equal to the dowry for virgin. So he still got to pay, right? Even if a father does not agree. Let's look at this in the Deuteronomy passage. In the Deuteronomy, let me see.
I'm gonna push back on that only because I read in Genesis that Adam had known Eve. So I'm assuming that this what we're talking about right now is the law of Moses, but Adam didn't pay a dowry, neither did Cain, who had multiple wives.
Right. No, the dowry is a custom, but it's really just rooted in the fact that there's an agreement. Like a man can agree to give his virgin daughter with no price. There's nothing that says that he has to take money, right? So he could say, yeah, I'll give you my daughter, and you don't have to worry about giving me a dowry. He could do that, right? When Yah presented Eve to Adam, it was an agreement, because Adam said from his own mouth, this is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
Right.
So in other words, he vowed to take her from his mouth to be his woman. Right. So he made that. Was in the passage here in Exodus 22:16, this man is having sex with this woman, but he never vowed. He never made a contract to this woman.
Oh, he made her a whore. Okay.
Basically, right. And so that's why they're dealing with the consequences of it. But let's look at the cross reference to this. The cross reference to this is in Deuteronomy 22:29. It says, if a man finds a girl who is a virgin, who is not engaged, and seizes her, not necessarily rape her, but he seduces her and lies with her, and they are discovered, then the man who lay with her shall give to the girl's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall become his wife, because he has violated her, and he cannot divorce her all this day. So now, when does she become his wife? Did she become his wife when he laid with her, or she becomes a wife after the father takes the shekels from him?
I see exactly where you're going. Okay, so there's an agreement, and then there's a consummation. If you consummate without an agreement, it doesn't constitute as a biblical marriage.
Right. It doesn't.
So in this particular case, she is his wife now after he's taken her. Now there's an agreement between the two.
Right. So she becomes his. She becomes his because the father has to agree. Take my daughter. Right.
Agree and be taken. Right.
Right. Just like Yah agreed to give Eve to Adam. Right. The father has to agree to give his daughter to this man in marriage. Just because he has sex with her doesn't necessarily make her his wife. And I repeat the example that I gave earlier with Yeshua and the woman at the well, right? She said, I have no husband. He said, you are right in saying that you have no husband. You have had 5 husbands. And the one that you are with, the one you dwell with now, is not your husband. So just because she was with a man at that current time, that didn't make him her husband. What do you guys saying on that? Responses? Brother Noah?
I agree with that. Yeshua is not going to tell us a lie. Right. But also he's showing us the same principle you're showing us here. There are 2 parts to make a marriage legit and legal according to Torah. You have an agreement or permission from the father.
Here's a contrast. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Here's a contrast. Joseph had more authority than this man here in this passage who just had sex with this woman. He had authority to put Mary away, remember? Even though he didn't have sex with her. Why? Because of the contract. The contract is what gives the man the right, the ownership rights. Right? Consummation seals the deal. It makes them one flesh. They don't become one flesh. Notice Adam said what he said before he had sex with Eve.
Good point.
So you don't become one flesh until you have sex. But there are people who become one flesh with prostitutes, but they're not married to them.
Exactly.
Where do you get that from, Brother Mike? Well, Paul said that. Paul said that in 1 Corinthians 6.
We also do get an inkling of it, about all the wisdom in Proverbs, how it tells us how she'll bring us to a loaf of bread and stuff like that.
Right. You have no ownership rights of this adulterous woman, right? So he says here in 6:15, he says, do you not know that your bodies are members of Messiah? Shall I then take the members of Messiah and make them members of a prostitute? may it never be. So he's telling the men here at the assembly of Corinth to not get engaged or deal with harlotry or whoredoms or dealing with prostitutes, right? He says, or do you not know that the one who joins himself to a prostitute is one body with her? For he says the two, who said this? Adam said this, the two shall become one flesh. So one can be one flesh with someone in a prostitution contract, right? A prostitute soliciting contract, but not a marital contract. One flesh only means that you've had sex, you've consummated, right? That creates the one flesh component or reality, between a man and a woman, right? Doesn't mean that he's united, because clearly the man who has sex with a prostitute is he's maybe joining himself to her in body, but he's not joining himself to her in commitment.
Mm.
So a woman having a child from a man, having sex with the man, but he's not committing himself to be her husband, to be her covering. You were going to say, Sister Deborah?
I think that's where it caused all these conflicts with the single mothers, because when you said that, something hit me. In the first example where the father did not give consent to give his daughter away.
Right.
The father, therefore, has still authority over the daughter.
Still has authority over, and it's
still under his headship.
Now, mind you, she could have been this virgin could have been having sex with this man in Japan. It still doesn't remove the headship from the father. That man still had to go eat humble pie and go back to the father.
So the father didn't give authority. Now I'm wondering to myself, and this is a question, a genuine question.
Brother Jeremy, why are you laughing, man?
If she got pregnant, Brother Jeremy, you guys got to teach my sister, teach me here and my sisters. If she got pregnant and she's under the father's headship and in his home, whose child is it?
Whose child
is
it?
Authority.
Who's in authority? It's the well, I mean, according to Yah, he just made this man's daughter pregnant, but it's still within the father's jurisdiction on whether if he's going to allow or force this man to marry his daughter.
Yeah, it seems like the shotgun thing is still determined by the father.
Wedding, right? Remember those shotgun weddings? Right. Shotgun wedding, right? So yeah, go ahead, Brother Jay.
It seems like because there's already been some form of agreement. The agreement is that, hey, you've got my daughter pregnant and you guys have had sex. The father, has to accept that. I mean, it's already done.
But it doesn't. But there's still no legal agreement, because in other words, a person can take a piece of candy from the store, but that didn't mean that they made an agreement at the counter as a cash register with the clerk at the store. Just because you took candy out the store doesn't mean that you legally transacted that piece of candy from that store.
The way you got it. Yeah.
It's like saying, hey, you took the candy, but you can't eat it. You're gonna eat that candy, and then the candy's gonna be going to business owner going to write it off as a loss,
Right. But I mean, it just only goes to show the extent of the father, right? And that's what goes back to the 10th commandment. Everything that's in that man's house belongs to him. You covet that man's daughter, you even take that man's daughter's virginity, right? He's still the one that's in authority. He's still the one that's in authority, and that's the crime is against him. The crime is against him. And that's the reason why, 3 commandments before that, for a woman to have sex with a man, she's that's not her husband. And that man that has sex with this woman, who is the wife of another man, both the man and the woman are violating the husband of that man who this man is having sex with. So in other words, the wife's husband is violated by her having sex with a man that's not her husband. And the man that has sex with her is also violating. So he's the adulterer and she's the adulteress. Right?
That's because you're stealing. You're stealing what
you're stealing something that belongs to someone else, right? So the authority of a woman fall and hinges under the headship of a man, whether it be her father or it be her husband. And if the father has not given his daughter to a man, you know, in this regard, in Deuteronomy 22, right, it's stealing. Stealing. It's on the level of a woman taking a man's child.
Ooh, that is exactly right.
Think about it. You know, a man sleeping with a virgin without getting the father's consent is on the level of a woman bearing a man's child and then running on the other side of the planet with that man's child in secret, in stealth. It's man stealing. It's man stealing, right? And I got a question for that. When it comes to man stealing, what is the cause of man stealing in Torah?
What's the punishment?
What's the punishment?
Not nice.
Wasn't it death?
It's death, right? Anybody know a passage for that?
The only one I can think of is where man stealing. Wait a minute. In this particular scenario that you're giving us, is the woman who stole the man, is she also married?
The one who stole a man? No, the woman didn't steal a man. The man's
kidnapping.
Kidnapping. Right. So in other words, if a woman is taking the possession of a man's child, right? She's taking a man's child and she absconds with that child. She leaves with that child. She goes to the other side of the planet with that child, right? That is that not on the level of kidnapping? I mean, is it? You know, is it not the same as a man having sex with another man's daughter and not getting that man's permission? Because if you take something from someone without their permission, what do we call that?
You steal. You're theft.
Right.
Theft.
Right. It's called death. Yeah.
And if it's a female that belongs to the man, it's called adultery.
That's why what you was gonna say, Brother Jeremy?
No, I was gonna say that's why the angel of the Lord told Hagar to go back.
Yes.
Remember, she was gonna take Ishmael and run.
Yeah. Shalom, brother. Present truth. Yeah, he said that's Brother Yon. Blessings to you, brother. Yeah, he says, yes, Exodus 21:16. I got it. Let me pull that passage up. because I think it's important that we read that, because I think that's fitting God, because that's what the man who sleeps with the virgin is actually doing. In a certain sense, he's doing this, taking something that belongs. That's why the text even goes as far as he seizing a virgin, a man's daughter, right? So Exodus 21:16 says this is he who kidnaps a man, whether he sells him or he is found in his possession, shall surely be put to death. So what is the price of kidnapping?
Death.
Taking something that belongs to someone else.
Yeah,
right.
Death. Death.
I'm not talking about a thing. I'm talking about a person, taking a whole person, right? What is the cost of that? What's the price for that? To take something that belongs to someone else.
This is serious, man. This is death. And it's the same thing with adultery. It's the same thing. You're stealing somebody else's woman.
You're stealing somebody's, and that's the reason why adultery is punishable by death.
Right? Wow.
Right. By death, right?
Even if Shabbat Shalom, brother Jan.
Even if the woman is a virgin and she's engaged, right? What's the penalty for that?
The same thing.
She's engaged, right? Let's go back to the text. Let's read that. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to this. Okay, Deuteronomy. Here we go. If a man is found lying with the married woman, then both of them shall die. The man who lay with the woman, and the woman, thus you shall purge the evil from Israel. if there is a girl who is a virgin engaged to a man, she's just engaged, she didn't have sex with him, right? You know, this was Mary status, right? She was engaged, right? And it says engaged to a man, and another man finds her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring both them out to the gate of the city, and you shall stone them to death. The girl, because she did not cry out in the city, and the man, because he has violated his neighbor's wife, his neighbor's possession. Thus you shall purge the evil from among you. So what here's another one to that. But verse 22, but if in the field the man finds a girl who's engaged and the man forces her and lies with her, then only the man who lies with her shall die, right? But you shall do nothing to the girl. There is no sin in the girl worthy of death. Why? Because she was raped. For just as a man rises against his neighbor and murders him, so is it. So it's likeness to murder. Here it's likening rape or taking the possession of another man's, which is his woman, right? Is put on par with rape.
Wow.
With murder. Now, when verse 27, when he found her in the field, the engaged girl cried out but there was no one to save her. Why? Because she was resisting it. But if she's caught not resisting it, then they both die. You know, because that's the evidence that is consented, right? She's consenting to it, right? And so that's the whole point here. So the whole point is to the discussion at hand is does the woman belong to the man, right? And when does the woman belong to the man, right? Does the woman belong to the man, and when does the woman belong to the man?
So I think first it should be when the father's given permission, and when the agreement is met there, and part two is when the man finds favor in her, sees that she's good, and then he takes her and he has known her. So we know that now that there's two things that need to take place when it comes to a woman. So truly it can be fulfilled that she has left her father's and mother's house, and she leaves and clings onto her husband, her new head.
Exactly. Here's the thing, another question I think to consider in that. So now you have women today, maybe some of the women in the audience, our beloved sisters. You may be in that situation where you have a child from a man who has never contracted for your hand in marriage with your father, definitely didn't pay a dowry, right? For that matter, and you have a child with this man, right? Or for this man, right? You have a child, and the man is, you're not with the man, or the man is neglecting his responsibilities. Clearly what we're seeing here, that man is not necessarily your husband. But what it does mean is that there needs to be a discussion, because what was the next move after the man had sex with this virgin? He had to now deal with the father. He had to deal and come face to face with, am I going to marry this woman or not? And what are the consequences if I don't?
Brother, I have a question, because with that discussion with the father would automatically mean a discussion about who has authority over the offspring of that.
Right. And that's the reason why we're going there. If the woman belongs to the man, right?
Okay.
Right? If she belongs to the man, on the flip side, she has the man's child. So this is another question I just thought of. The woman has, I know this is one of those topics, right? The woman has sex with the man. They create a child, right? The man doesn't commit to the woman. He abandons his responsibility. Is that still that man's child?
I would think that, interesting enough, the father had to be involved, and basically still belongs to the father. The woman and the child. I'm asking question asking.
The father is the one that's ultimately in authority, because based on the passage, man has sex with this man's daughter who's a virgin, and he did not properly go to the father for her hand in contract, right? He has sex with this virgin, he impregnates her. The text doesn't say if she gets pregnant that she
there's no clause
belong into the right. So it doesn't say that, right? But it does infer, it does imply, it does beg, it does demand that there has to be closure to this. There has to be a next step to this. And that is the man going to, he has to be presented with the idea if he's going to take this woman on as being his wife.
Right away. Yeah.
He has to be presented. So if that's never happened, that's a conversation, ladies, that you need to have with the fathers of your children. And then I'm talking, I know many probably don't feel that he's even worthy of that, but I'm just saying that is a because here's the thing: a man lies with a virgin, he may not necessarily be a good man. He might very well, he's a bad man, right? He's obviously bad in the sense that he's stealing something, right? So he's definitely bad in that sense, right? Very bad in the sense is you allow somebody to come inside your father's store and you let them steal something, right? Does that not make you bad as well? Right? So you in your father's store, you tending to your father's store. This man comes inside the store and you see him take that candy and put it in his pocket and you don't say anything, right? Are you not as bad as he is? So you can't really pass judgment in that situation if you had consensual sex without agreement. Both parties are in the wrong, right? If they consented to that mutually, right? Together, both parties are in the wrong. But according to Torah, the next step is to talk about marriage. The next step is how do we rectify this? If dad is still around, let's go sit down with dad and have a proper conversation about creating a proper agreement to right the wrong. I truly believe that the weight of a lot of circumstances that follow making the decisions of having sex with someone that you're not married with and not going through the natural process of creating a contract at all, right? There's ramifications to that. There's consequences to that. And the consequences are because you've disrespected. The fourth commandment says to honor thy father and thy mother. This is the first commandment that's given with promise. So that your life will be longer. Do you not know the implications that you are putting on your life when you don't honor your father, who is the head of your house?
Yeah. And there's no clause in that one either saying only if he obeys Torah, only if he's a good father. No,
it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that, because all authority has been given by Yah, right? And is ordained by Yah. Paul says that in Romans 13. So clearly Caesar has been given the authority by Yah. Yah said that he raised up Pharaoh, right? He raised up Nebuchadnezzar, right? To punish Israel. So, he has authority over the just as well as the unjust. And he can put the unjust in power as he chooses. So
I'm just thinking, this is amazing conversation, my sister. I hope you're getting blessed by it, because I'm getting revelations. Wow.
I mean, the more you think of this, the more levels it goes, like the more to think of. And it's like, it goes to show how much we've been deprived of truth, how much we've been deprived from the right way of doing things. And we become so accustomed to the dysfunctional way of doing things. And then we ask ourselves the questions at a certain point when all of the, the ramifications and all of the consequences, years later we see in our life, and we're like, well, how did I get here? Why are all these things happening to me? It goes back, first and foremost, you didn't honor your father or your mother. It goes back to the fact that you didn't honor your head. It goes back to the fact that you took authority on your own self. It goes back to the fact you were engaged in man stealing. It goes back to the fact that you have violated the Most High, and you have brought upon a curse upon yourself.
Mm. Oh boy.
You know, I am convinced that many single mothers and single fathers are walking in curses that they brought on themselves.
Yep, that's 100% true.
This can explain all the confusion and all the fighting of custody.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Dysfunction breeds more dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you know, curses breed more curses, man. Like
curses breed more curses. Error begets error, right?
Yeah, you know,
it's
you
only
don't
going to
suffer one of this, is it?
Going to multiply itself, right? It's going to multiply itself, right? You want to read some more of the comments? I think this is Hotel Sarah. No, we did that one. Let's go from here, brother Jeremy. I think making decision. Yeah, I highlighted it. You can read it. Read them.
Okay, I was lost there. Okay, making a decision to surgically remove a part of the body is painful, and scars remain. Same works in biblical families and marriages.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Right. This is Hotel Sierra. Correct me if I'm wrong, but statistically, children of single fathers do better than the children of single mothers.
Yeah, and that's a
statistically. Yeah, but what Bishop Allen just mentioned is the curses that we often fall under. So we have to look at, how did he become a single father?
Right.
How did he even have those children? Did he take that woman justly? You know, like, there's so many facets of this thing that we're not taught, and we're just now coming into it, and there's so many curses that we have to break because of our disobedience and lack of knowledge. Go ahead, brother.
Indeed. Now, I was going to say that, you are 100% correct. I agree. The data does show that. We have shown that on here numerous times. Brother Pete Rambo on his website, nonsolve.com, has an infogram. I just pulled up his website, nonsolve.com. You can go there. I'm going to pull it up, and it shows an infograph of a single mother and the statistics of a single mother versus a single father. So let's go to the infogram, right, and pull that up. Okay, here we go. Let me enlarge this so we can see this some more. Okay, guys can see that. Okay, there we go.
You said it's on Brother Pete's website?
Yeah, it's on Pete's website. Yeah, notsolve.com. You can see it up at the top. Not solve. Let me see if I can just show. No, it's not going to show, but it's notsolve, NATSAB.com, notsolve.com. And this was something that he posted up. This was in April 2023. And it says, that's a single mom. She looks harmless, doesn't she? Right? Let me shrink it down a little bit, because I think it's not showing all of the. There we go. She looks harmless, doesn't she? Yet single moms are a crime production facility. Countless studies have shown that single motherhood ruins children's lives. Single mothers cause disproportionately high crime rates, mental health issues, drug abuse, and educational problems. Single fathers do not have such a negative impact. It's the mothers that become destructive when not supervised by men. So notice the point is so in line with scripture. Just as the children need the supervision of the father, the mothers need the supervision of the husband. It's like the 10-year-old taking the 4-year-old and running away together. Picture that.
It's like the sheep running away with the lamb.
And they talking about they're going to fend for themselves, right? They're talking about they're going to take care of themselves, right? And these are statistics from reputable institutions, government agencies here in the United States, right? And it says 43% of prison inmates grew up in a single parent household, 39% with their mothers and 4% with their fathers. Single mothers result in disproportionate high number of criminals. Single fathers do not. And that's the U.S. Justice Department statistics. 60% of rapists are from single mothers' households. 70% of adolescent murderers grew up without fathers. 80% of preschool children admitted as psychiatric patients came from fatherless homes. 60% of youth commit suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of adolescent repeat arsonists, right, from living with a single mother, right? 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 85% of youth in prisons grew up in fatherless homes. And there's more statistics. I mean, it goes on and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on, that the data shows that there is a detriment to not having fathers in the home. Brother Jeremy, you want to go back to the comments and pick up from where we left off? If you can remember where we left off at.
Yep, we are right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Lafe Hernandez?
Hernandez, right. So, right.
But the father can refuse, he says.
The father can refuse. I'm not sure. Oh, refuse. Oh, yeah.
I think that's when we was talking about the agreement,
Right. He can refuse. You violated me. You violated my daughter. You took my daughter's virginity. No, I'm not even giving you. You're not even worthy of my daughter. But yeah, you're gonna have to pay me that dowry anyway, according to what Torah says. Right.
Right.
Give me the money on credit. Right. Just give me your money off the way out the door. Right. Right. And mind you, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at the text, I think it says 50 talents, if I'm not mistaken, in the Exodus passage. You equate that to today's money, the price that he had to pay is about $200,000 or $375,000.
Wow, that's enough to raise the offspring of this relationship for a while. Yeah. I mean, it's like child support went to granddad.
Yeah. Yes.
Keep in mind, fellas, if you're in the U.S., IOUs serve as currency.
IOUs.
So
yeah, that's right.
The next one is from Hotel Sierra. And it says, according to exes,
tell her father that you're going to give an you get off on an IOU to her father.
yeah. That's what a promissory note is. It's a promise to pay.
If the father be so merciful, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No problem.
So we did Exodus 22:16. We did that, and so we up to this one.
All right, Miss Eden, and if they don't pay the dowry, question mark, she wouldn't be given. Yeah, correct. She wouldn't be given a marriage.
She wouldn't be given into marriage. But here's an interesting thing about that, Sister Eden. That's a good point that you raise. How many fathers would think that it's even necessary to even have a conversation on who their daughter decide to marry in modern Western liberal frame of motor thinking? There are fathers today that are like, she can make a decision for herself. She a grown woman.
I would suggest, can I just give a little of my tidbits, because we Torah believing women, doesn't really matter if our fathers are not Torah observant or our heads are not Torah observant, we still should give them the option and the education of that.
Right. So if he chooses to not make a decision, so he leaves it up to her to vow for herself, right? Because
but that is a decision,
right? And that's a decision, right? So she has now the right to make that decision on her own.
So, or does it just default? Or does it default to the next head, like her older brother or something?
No, because the father's still alive, and this is the decision that he's making, right? Because that's what Torah. You want? Let's look at that. I think that's important that we look at that. Do you think it's important that we look at scripture?
Yes, for sure. That's a scripture. Pull it up. This is what we're here from. This is what we're here for. Stick it in the word.
I've talked to, even before I came into Torah, I tried to speak to the father and get there okay.
Right.
Especially with my first, that guy didn't want to have a conversation. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to marry because we ever had a kid. But, with my ex-wife, I had to. I said, you're going to do it right. You're going to, talk to a father.
Right.
And, but some of the recent conversations I've had in the past year, and women have told me that when I'm asking, okay, well, where's your head? Well, my dad's not around. Okay, well, there's some, I try to infer to them like, hey, there's somebody over you right now. Who is that person?
Right.
And sometimes it's the uncle, sometimes very rarely it's the mother, or it might be a brother, the next male in the household. They know who is over them, and that's who you got to get permission, fellas.
But here's the deal. What if the father's alive and the mother made the decision earlier in this daughter's life to remove her from the father, right? Now the mother has a new man, another man, or it might be the mother's brother, right? And the daughter is like, because she has no relationship, that relationship has been alienated with her biological father. Now this young man says, who do I speak to? Who speaks for you? I want to give you respect. I want to respect your elder, your patriarch of your family. Who do I ask for your hand, or the permission for your hand? Right? Who do I ask? Right. And if she responds that, well, I don't talk to my dad. I'm not in a relationship with my dad, but you could talk to my brother. I'm not in a relationship with my dad. My dad didn't raise me, but you could talk to my stepfather. Can a stepfather take the place of that biological man if that biological man has never gotten the opportunity because the daughter was removed from him?
If that well, again, like according to the conversation that we're having just today, like if that man has done what he was supposed to do and got the agreement of the father beforehand and then taken that woman, then that woman is still.
Let's just say they didn't even have sex. Let's just say he wants to do everything decently and in order.
Well, no, so, I meant you're saying the stepdaughter, right?
Yeah, no. Here's the deal. A man meets a young lady,
right?
He has interest in her, so he wants to speak to her father, or he wants to speak to whoever's in authority. Her biological father is still alive, but he didn't raise her. Why? Because the mother moved away, took the child away from the father. She's now raising this child, has raised this child up by another man, with the help of another man, right? Or it might be her brother, her uncle that she lives with, right? And so now this man, when he asked this question to this young lady, listen, who do I speak to? Can I speak to your father or anyone who is the patriarch over you, or who can speak for you? Because I want to ask their permission for your hand in marriage, right? And she responds with, well, my father didn't raise me. And I didn't have a relationship with my father. But my stepfather raised me. Can she defer that decision of giving her to her stepfather from her father, even though her father didn't raise her? And mind you, this is not based on the biological father's choice. This was a decision that the mother made to remove the child from the father's life because she didn't feel he was worthy enough, right? Now she got another man raising this child, and she's an adult now. And now it's at the time when this girl wants to get married. And the man that's seeking her hand wants to do it with dignity.
Right.
And the stepdad take the father's place after the mother has unilaterally decided to remove the child from under the care and supervision of the father and give that into another man's hand. That's the question.
So I got two things on that one. First, no, it still would have to default to the actual father. Secondly, I think that woman has to be put to death.
What? Sorry.
Woman. He said it so calm. Which woman?
Oh, the mother, the mother who made that unilateral decision.
That unilateral decision. Okay, based on what? Based on Torah, right? Say based on Torah, she engaged in man stealing, right? She took this man.
She engaged in theft.
Right. and now put the child in the care of another. That is the equivalent of women unilaterally stealing children, because now it comes the time where your child is ready to get married or wants to get married. You don't have the ability to bless that child or to make that decision to give that child over. And the man that you're laying with does not have the ability to bless that child. Only the child's father can do that.
My goodness.
That child can do that.
The gravity of the ramifications.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Let's read the text. It says also, if a woman makes a vow to Yahweh and binds herself by an obligation in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow and her obligation by which, so she decides, oh, they looking for volunteers down at the temple, and they looking for women who can sew. So I want to go down there and I want to help sew because I want to give a contribution to the Most High. I want to be holy in my service to the Almighty, right? And so she makes this commitment. She tells the leaders of the temple, I can volunteer, right? And so in this instance, the father hears of it, right, and says nothing to her. Then all her vows shall stand, and every obligation by which she has bound herself shall stand, right? But if her father should forbid her on the day he hears of it, none of her vows or her obligations by which she has bound herself shall stand, and Yahweh will forgive her because her father had forbidden her. So here's the thing. Even though she made that vow without the biological father's consent, he can come after the fact and say, listen, no, I never gave consent to that. This vow is null and void. I remember this was earlier this year, back in springtime, when the issues happened when I did Brother Rufus and all of that stuff happened with Straightway. And Brother Eric Gonzalez, like that's the issue of that came about, especially some of the videos, right? That Pastor Dow had taken allegedly the wife of Eric Gonzalez, who they kicked out of the ministry from what I could recall. And Eric Gonzalez, in his own testimony, said he never consented his daughter to be given. Pastor Dow unilaterally gave his daughter to another man in the ministry.
No, you can't.
Gonzalez is saying currently, still up until this day, as far as I know, that he never consented to that. So here's the question.
He didn't know what he doing.
He didn't know what he was doing, right? So here's the question: does the new dad, assumed dad, can he usurp? Can he assume that authority and take the place of the biological father, or the father who where that child comes from? That's the question.
No.
What do you guys? What do you say, Sister Deborah? You kind of quiet.
I'm going to be quiet because these are theological things that we need to hear. But I really want you guys to teach it. Please.
I got you.
It's okay, sister. Don't worry about your subscribers.
Brother Noah,
also, yeah, Brother Noah, wake up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Are you there? What's your thoughts on that? Like, a woman leaves with a man's daughter, has another man raising her in another part of town, right? And telling the daughter, now this man now is your daddy. So now she's an adult years later, and she meets this young man who wants to marry her, and he wants to do it in a dignified way, righteous way. And the only father that she really knows, right, because her father was removed from her by her mother, right? Does this stepfather have the right, to agree and make a contract with this young man?
No. I'd say that the daughters, he needs to go back to the source.
You need to go back to the source.
Yeah, the original, what would they claim as sperm donor?
The sperm donor, right? Tying it back. So the sperm donor has rights, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
The sperm donor has rights, right? So, sisters, you really need to be careful, because even the very marriage vows that your daughters, may be bound to, can be null and void. Because if your daughters have been stolen from their fathers by you, that man can say, I don't consent to it. In his prayers, in the secret prayers of him and the Most High. And this can bring a very curse not only on your daughters, but on you. And this will cause that young man to be taking on your daughters in an adulterous manner. You see the levels,
the ramifications, or the gravity of it. We have to sit with it.
The levels of it. When we really look at Torah and we look at it how it's supposed to be, as opposed to how things are dysfunctionally being played out in our culture today. Anything else guys want to add on to that before we go back to the comments?
Well, this thing, even with that, it's like the man is the head to the point where he can even annul a vow of a woman. It's profound, right?
It's profound.
So you don't have a right as a woman to even make a decision to take a child away.
Right.
He can annul that and said, no, I don't care who you swore to. You're not doing it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which that leads me to another question, and we talked about this earlier. I want to pull that one up, but can you guys can add to it while I find the question in my banner.
So I watched The Chosen on Come and See. Try to watch it every Shabbat, and in season 4, there's a scene where Rama, she's asked her father to for permission, or not she has, the Thomas has asked her father for permission to take her hand in marriage, and he does not approve. So they go to Yeshua and they say there's a right in law where if the father doesn't approve, you can stand in place of the father and give me away. Yeshua agrees, and wait a minute, according to Torah, he can't do that. No, because she still belongs to her father.
Right.
But mind you, her father was not an unbeliever, but it does not matter.
Not matter.
That is still his property right there.
Still his property.
God. Maybe that'll be the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, is it lawful to steal from a sinner just because he's a sinner?
Nope, it's not lawful to do that.
So is it lawful to go into a Macy's department store? Is it lawful to go to the vegetable stand of a heathen and steal just because he's a heathen?
Nope. The law applies to all of us equally, and
you will be properly adjudicated, right? You'll be properly, yes, exactly. If you're caught and convicted, right, on that, right, you got some penance to pay, right? So, this was a question that I thought of. When fathers removed or prevented access to their children, who then becomes qualified to pass his blessing upon his children, particularly his sons? We talked about that.
The blessings,
yeah. So who can the stepfather now pass the blessings on the sons? The Torah encourages that fathers give blessings to their sons. That is the heritage of Torah, that fathers pass on the inheritance to their children, particularly to their sons. Who's going to assume that, right? If she takes this child away from his father. Yeah, go ahead, bro. I mean, Gary's sister. Sorry.
Nobody could. I mean, pertaining to what you just asked and what Brother Jeremy just commented, it reminds me when Yeshua was, 2 brothers were fighting about their inheritances, right? And Yeshua said, "Who am I?
Yeah, who made me judge
to come and interfere with this?" Like even he backed away. So I don't have a right to interfere in this.
Exactly. So that it just only goes to show that Yah gives men jurisdiction. You know,
he gave us dominion. We get active.
Right. And so the man can forfeit his jurisdiction. He can give jurisdiction to someone else by consent, right?
Like Esau gave up his.
Exactly. Right. Like Adam, right? Like Adam, by default, right, is the reason why, you know, Satan was able to say to Yeshua, the kingdoms of the world has been delivered unto him. He tells Yeshua, bow down and worship me. I will give you all the kingdoms. He showed him all the kingdoms of the world. He said, because they've been delivered unto me. You know, scripture teaches that he is the prince and the power of the air. He is the God of this world. What makes him the God of this worldly system is because human beings continually yield authority to Satan when we sin.
Wow.
And so now what happens as a result, the ramifications of that, like stealing a man's child, right? And then saying that you're going to now place him under the authority of another man, right? That you so choose and please, disregarding even your own father, right? Who probably told you to never go down that path, right? Think of all of the curses and the ramifications and the consequences, right? And how much confusion that this caused. Like you thinking that you're walking in blessings when you're really walking in a curse. The book of Malachi, the book of Malachi talks about how your blessings will become your curse.
We don't even realize that's why things are going so hard and difficult for us.
Yes. Yes. Why am I having all of these troubles? Why is life so hard? Why have all these things compounded on me all at one time? Every time I turn around, there's something. Yeah, because you may have you may have neglected something. You may have violated something, right? And so we need to do a deep examination of ourselves, right? And allow Yah to put on the searchlight of his holy ruach to search our hearts.
I'm going to ask Brother Mike. In this question, I'm going to ask on behalf of the sisters. Now, if the sisters are married to Jesus, how can they have any type of ought or be out of sorts?
How can they have any kind of ought?
Yeah, or be out of sorts. How can they have sin if they're married to Jesus?
Oh, if they're married. Oh, so in other words, can they be married to Jesus and still have sin at the same time?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Right?
You can make another episode of that one, Brother Jeremy.
Yeah, that's
I will join in your live stream and have that discussion.
That's gonna be a call-in one right there.
I mean, that brings us back to the doctrine of perfection, right?
Right? Yes.
Right. So can you truly be married to Jesus and not be perfect? Can you?
No, he forces us to be.
He forces us to be, right? All right.
According to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
But according to this particular one, it doesn't even matter if the father doesn't literally have much. He's a poor man. But his literal blessing of a child is tremendously profound.
Yes.
Even a poor man's blessing of his children.
Yes. And we saw that in the case of Uriah, right? With David had about 17 wives. And Yah's rebuke to him is that this poor man only had one. And you took the only one that this poor man had when you could have taken from the many that you already had that I gave to you. And if that wasn't enough, I would have given you more, is what he said to David, right? So, you know, just this whole idea that Yah even respects the ownership of just a poor man who only has one. He even went that far as to kill David's child. He even went that far to cause the sword to never leave David's house because he honored that one poor man called Uriah. And we still read about Uriah today.
Wow.
So you might think that your father is insignificant or the father of your children is insignificant and you have the authority to disregard his anointed David. Even though Saul pursued him for probably over 10 years to take his life, trying to kill him, trying to assassinate him, right? David, he had multiple opportunities to kill Saul. And he said he would not do it, did not do it, refrained from doing it because he said it was not right for him to kill or touch Yah's anointed. So even though the king is wicked, David said he was still anointed. Even though your father of your child or your children is a bad man, he don't want to keep Torah, he's still anointed as a father.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you to disregard Yah's anointing? Just because the prime minister and the president of your country might be a wicked prime minister, he's still ordained by the Most High. That's the point.
Get up again.
We got to pray for our leaders. Pray for your baby daddy.
Wow.
They're not in that position by happenstance. So just because they lied and they cheated, all this stuff is ordained by God, whether you guys believe it or not.
Yes.
Whether you like who's there or not.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to the comments, Brother Jay. So where do we leave?
Man, I don't forget.
I know. We keep digressing. Okay. Let me see.
I've been looking at this one for a while. No one agree with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
See which one.
But the father can't refuse.
Oh, you up here?
Yeah. Sarah, according to the twins, we did that already. And right. Eden, that's when she asked, and if they don't, okay. Eden says it, and she remains in her father's house. My current situation, by the way, and she remains in the father's house, and so that's connected with the previous thing she says. And if they don't pay the dowry, she wouldn't be given in marriage. That's correct.
That's also between him and the father. Some people might say they don't want a dowry.
Right, they might not want a dowry, or the father may make the decision like to say, well, I'm not even going to give you irregardless, but I still want that dowry. Right. He still has the rights. Right. Right.
And don't worry, Eden. Somebody gonna call your daddy and pay that dowry.
He says, Ari Heights says, what counts as a dowry? So the dowry is the payment for a virgin daughter. It is a payment that is good faith for the virgin daughter. It is a value to it. Number one, it shows a man's ability to take care of that daughter, right? So if you got money, if you got $375,000 according to today's currency, right? He has the ability to provide for that man's daughter. Also, it helps to replace the loss that the father incurs, right? Because now he doesn't have the daughter there to help him, right? That adult daughter, right? Also, it's a security, right? So now if
he passes,
right, it reverts back and all that stuff and whatnot, right? Especially in the case of a concubine, right? So a dowry today could be father blessing agreement. Yes, it can be. It can be. It but it has to be a meeting of the mind. Any contract, there has to be a meeting of the minds in order for it to be a contract. So Brother Jeremy could want to sell me a house for $1 million, but then he might say it's okay that he will sell it to Brother Noah for $1, right? So both are contracts, right? And he has the right to make that contract with whomever on whatever terms, right? So there's nothing to say that he can't make a contract in the way that he wants it to make, right? No, there's no one size fits all for all contracts. That's my point.
And I wouldn't do that to you, Brother Allen. Brother Noah got to pay at least $500 if you got to pay.
All right, could you read this one?
Yes, sir. What about the father observing, not interceding, like validating or canceling the vow? Well, yeah, we did speak about that.
Yeah, he's validating, not canceling the vow, right? So if he doesn't
observing, not interceding,
then I guess it's good. But
well, because it says he's observing and not interceding, like validating or canceling the vow. So if he's not giving the okay, he can still veto that,
right? But I'm saying if he observes it and he doesn't intercede, and he sees that this woman goes and get married and she done live with this man and they're building a family, the father can't come back after the fact and say, well, I never consented to it. No, you seen that I married this man, right? That's the whole point. He's seen that she went to go live with this man in his dwelling, right? Father can't come after the fact. It's different if the child has been taken away from the father
and he never knew.
And he never knew, but then he finds out about it. That's a whole different situation. It's a different situation, right? Because the text in Numbers 34 says that it has to come to the father's attention. That's the point, right? All right.
Excellent point, Sister Irie. Thank you for your explanation, brothers. From Eden.
Present truth.
Oh.
Present truth. Yeah, Brother Jan. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Brother Jan says, Shalom. I would also state that even in the law of the war bride, the man has to like the woman and decide to bring her into his house. Okay, so there's some calculation on his part.
Yes.
And let her mourn a full month. This is a type of contract.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I agree.
Yes.
And that does speak to scripture, about mourning. Just a mourn loss of her head. Brother President Truth says exactly. For example, if a man gets another woman's servant girl pregnant without an agreement, whose authority is the child under? Another man's servant. It would be the head of that servant girl. Right. Another man's servant girl. So she belongs to someone else.
Right. So he says the father is in authority until he releases it. So that's what I'm saying. You can't, just because you steal it doesn't still give you the right. Right. You can't make it yours.
Right.
He said exactly right. All right.
Excellent, Elder. Wait a minute. Oh wait. So I should call you Elder Bishop Mike down. Elder Bishop Allen. Okay.
Yeah.
We got the skull symbol.
Skull symbol. Right. Yeah, we did.
Exodus 21:16.
We did that one, right? Okay.
For the present truth, studies have shown that when a man has experienced the stealing of a child from his care, is equal trauma to experiencing a death. I can give a testimony. It does feel like that.
Yes, it does. And I have experienced it numerous times. So I know the pain. Yeah, so true. Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
When the man and the father.
When the man and the father makes the agreement before sex.
Right.
That's what we were talking about, the 2 points of being married for a woman.
All right.
Ultimately, if a woman has a child and the father neglects his responsibility and abandon her, it ultimately falls under her father, right? Leviticus gives us some help in this area.
The 22.
And he's talking about Leviticus 22:13.
So I'm going to go here.
Let's pull that up.
All right. So let's go to the text. Leviticus 22:13. It says, but if a priest's daughter becomes a widow or divorced and has no child and returns to her father's house as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's food, but no layman shall eat of it. Okay. So now so who would be the layman in this regard?
Hold on. I'm sorry, because his next text kind of supported.
No stranger. But if a man eats a holy gift unintentionally, then he shall add to it a fifth. No, that's something different, right? Yeah. So the priest's daughter becomes a widow or divorced and has no child and returns to her father's house as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's food. So, right, bread. But
so who is she? She goes back to her father because she's a widow or divorced.
Yeah, right.
And she has no child, because I'm assuming that if she had a son that was old enough to be her head, she would submit to her son.
Right. And there's the thing too, she doesn't necessarily have to return to her father. Right? Because we saw that in the case of Abigail, right? We don't know whether
she's a widow, yeah.
Whether her father was still alive or not, right? But she became a widow, but immediately became David's wife after that.
Yeah. And Ruth too. Ruth probably, it doesn't say if Ruth's father was alive or not when
she stayed with her, right?
Became a widow.
Right. Okay. So yeah, go ahead. This text specifically for priests, but it gives us some guidance on how to help women who need support in these types of situations. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. They're falling back to their husband. I mean their fathers.
Right. As opposed to the responsibility being taken up by the state. Thus, the child becomes a ward of the state.
Yeah, that's a stealing too.
An orphan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Netta John says, I have a wife whose father died before I met her. Her older brother accepted the bride price. Is our marriage void because of this? No. I was going to say, hell no. Yeah.
That's right.
I am seeking another woman who has no father and older brother. Right. So the brother can consent. because the brother becomes the next, in authority over this woman, right? President Drew said these things produce after their kind. Everything produced after its own kind. He gets evil. You cannot get good from a bad tree, right? I think that goes back to evil begetting evil, or dysfunction breeds more dysfunction, right? Agent Washington says children of single mothers are statistically shown to have lower standards in terms of what they tolerate, also be compared to children of single fathers. Yeah, well, I mean, the statistics show that we looked at earlier. There is such a huge difference between the effect that single mothers and single fathers have on their children. Eden says that could also be called statistics of absent fathers versus present fathers. That's true. That is true. Certainly, if a father is present in the child's life, we know that it's going to feel positive in that child's life, right? As opposed to a father that's absent. That's clear, because we did make the point earlier that there are some bad men out here, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Agent Washington goes to show how important of a role a man and a father places in this society. God is intentional, yes, but we're trying to evict the man's importance, right, in the society today. That's the problem of where we're heading.
We're trying to completely erase it and take over his position.
My parents divorced, but I was an extremely blessed and protected child to have parents who acknowledged their importance in my life. So despite the divorce, my father was still heavily involved. And that's a blessing. That is a blessing. The child still has a chance. Here's the thing too. Children, first of all, Torah allows divorce. So Torah is not against divorce, right? A child does not have to necessarily physically have to live with a parent to be parented by a parent. And what do I mean by that? A man can have multiple wives with multiple dwellings. That means that he cannot realistically, physically sleep with each child in the same dwelling every night. Just as he cannot physically have sex, right? Or I would just say have intercourse with multiple women at the same time. He can only penetrate one vagina at a time, right? So that's how far the analogies run. So the children can be of one household and of another household, and still all the possession and the seed and the children and offsprings of a man. He can still be a father of each of those children, right? Right. Children without fathers have decreased telomeres sizes. I don't know what that word. I can't pronounce it. You know the word, Sister Deborah?
Telomeres. They're like the longer their cells, and determine your lifespan as well. So
it's a genetic.
It's a genetic thing. Yeah, I never looked into that. That's an interesting point. I'll go look it up scientifically. Yeah,
I just looked it up. It relates.
It relates. Yeah, and Brother Jan, definitely as a medical practitioner and professional, a doctor, he is an authoritarian on this regard. So he says that children without fathers have decreased telomere sizes, which equals to shorter lifespans, scientifically proven. Wow.
Really? Shorter lifespans. Wow. And then it's interesting. Wow.
So when a mother unilaterally removes her children from the father's care or access, right? Then she's willfully choosing to do something that can shorten her children's lifespan. And same thing vice versa. If a father chooses to abandon his children, right? He is unilaterally choosing to subject his child to a shorter lifespan based on the statistic. That's crazy.
Wow.
Brother Johnny, Shabbat Shalom. Blessings to you, brother.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yes. Ari Height says this conversation is a true blessing. All praises to Yahshua HaMashiach for salvation and given the chance to repent. So grateful for the Almighty's love to chastise and give understanding for correction.
Amen.
Isn't he worthy? Isn't he worthy? He is such a good El. we serve a El that is so worthy. He is so good. He is so gracious. He is so loving, and gracious towards us, even in our ignorance, right?
Yeah.
He still puts systems and principles in place for our benefit.
Yes, amen.
To protect us. It's Shabbat Shalom. All right. President True says absent dads tied to stress-related cellular changes in kids by Lisa Rappaport. Wow. Here you go. Absent dads tied to stress. Okay, he repeated it.
Wow.
The article is by Reuters. Okay.
Reuters.
So okay. Absent dad. So everyone, you can look this up. Absent dads tied to stress-related cellular changes in kids. So and it's by Lisa Rappaport. That's the article that you want to look for.
I'll look that up. Yeah.
What Jan was talking about. All right. He says, biblically, it is the father's children's period. All right. Coming in late Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Brother Manilo. Blessings to you. If the father dies, does the son become the head of his mother? It's a good question. Here's the question. When David died, right, did Solomon become the king over his mother? If his mother's alive, is he any less king over her because she's his mother?
No, he would have became the king. It's just
right. So being the head of the home, being the head of the house, or being the head of everyone in the house, that doesn't change the nature of the relationship of a parent and a child, right? Or for the mother that has with the child, right? It's like we become adults, but that doesn't necessarily mean that when we become adults that we have to still do everything that our parents dictate or tell us to do, right? We become independent at a certain point, right? We assert our own paths and our own choices for our own lives, right? And so just because you do that, that does not mean that you no longer are honoring your parents, right? Because you're choosing to live your life as an adult, right? Particularly as a man, right? So doesn't necessarily mean that, right? So I mean, certainly you have some parents who don't want their child to have a relationship with the Most High, right? So if you choose to have a relationship with the Most High, right, as an adult, are you dishonoring your parents?
Nope.
No, of course not. So certainly it's no dishonor if you're doing the right thing, right?
And maybe there'll be something there'll be a good point to go into at some point.
Good point.
How to truly honor your parents. What does it truly mean?
Yeah, you could definitely dig into that one, man. Definitely dig into that one. Luther Lex says, children to parents, many of our people are unaware that the NOI Detroit Temple of Allah 1930 was originally founded as Moorish Science Temple. Okay, all right. So I really have I don't know if that's trolling or what, right? All right. So President True says Israel and Judah had committed fornications against the Most High, yet they were still married to him. It's a fact. All right. So in other words, it doesn't sever the union until Yah decides to sever it. So Israel wasn't severed until Israel was handed a bill of divorce.
You cannot. Yeah, interesting. A woman cannot do this on her own.
Right, which shows that the authority of divorce is only in the man's hand. Make that point earlier, right? Tree of Life says peace and blessings. All right, shalom to you, brother. All right, and thanks for being on, brother Noah. Yeah, I'm sure he had to go. Luther Lex says exorcism Greek binding. Exorcism Greek denotes a binding oath. Okay,
that'll be interesting to look up.
All right, Aki Manilow running in late, but been here for a little bit. But my comment didn't go through. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, brother Manilow.
Still here, brothers.
All right. Oh, you're still here. Okay, good. Pastor, my throat is starting to act up, brother Jeremy.
Sure. President Truth says currently bride prices are anywhere from $5K to $100K. Average is $20K. That's cheap. Okay, that's cheap.
All right.
What's next? Okay. Brother Manilow says, "What if the father said no and they married anyway? If he said no and they married anyway, then they're in sin. They're inviting a curse unto themselves. Any children that they have in that union belong to granddaddy, as well as that woman still belongs to him. Just as we talked about earlier, I was speaking about the chosen. You know, her trying to use Jesus to go around her father. Jesus would never go around her father. If her father says no, then the answer is no. You know, a man that he feels is worthy of giving his daughter into his house is going to have to approach him. So Brooklyn Lou, the skeptic, says you are correct that the Bible does say that children do belong to their fathers. Wives also belong to their husbands, slaves to their masters. It is so crazy. The Bible is messed up. I don't agree with you on that last part, but
let's park there. You know why? Because he just opened the door to a topic that we're going to touch on probably after we get finished with this, dealing with the objections to why children belong to their fathers. Because we're running out of time, and we definitely going to have to do another segment on this because there's a lot that we didn't even unpack. We didn't even go through all of the videos. We didn't even go through some of the objections that we said that we were going to go through that from the sisters. So we definitely going to have to go through that on another time if we don't get to any at all today. But in terms of slavery, first of all, unbelievers like to challenge believers of the Bible and challenge the Bible as somehow contradicting itself because it condones slavery. Slavery in the Bible is not the same thing as chattel slavery. What took place by the European imperialists who went around the globe, conquering native people and forcing them into chains and treating them less than human, right, is not biblical slavery. Biblical slavery involves making people not only your servants, but making them parts of the family. Brother Jan just quoted earlier of the reference to a captive wife, a woman that is caught after a war and conflict broke out, and the women and children are left behind, and the man can see, according to Deuteronomy 25, a woman among the captives that he wants for himself. He can literally make that woman his wife, right? Servants have rights to the covenant. Servants are circumcised. Servants have rights to becoming part of the family. Servants can inherit. Servants keep Torah. Servants observe Shabbat, right? Servants are made part of the family. Unlike what took place in the transatlantic slave trade, even though many of the slave plantation owners fathered children from women on their plantations, they did not consider the children their children. So if anything, they would be the bad men that we talked about in this particular stream. Now they practice polygyny, they practice slavery, but they did it all in inhumane paganistic ways, right? With paganistic evil practices. So it's not crazy that slaves have masters in the Bible. In fact, slaves and masters have the same God. Slaves and masters in the Bible serve the same God, are accountable to the same God. Slaves and masters worship God side by side, unlike what took place in the transatlantic slave trade. Slave masters were commanded in the Bible to treat their slaves like brethren. That didn't happen in the transatlantic slave trade, so it's not the same thing. So the Bible's not messed up. It's your culture is what's messed up. That's the problem. So let's put the blame of what's messed up at where it belongs. That's my take.
That stinking thinking. That's what it is.
Just thinking, right?
Because according to the Bible, those little ladies that come in and that get paid all this money to clean the house and clean up and clean office buildings,
right?
They would just have a place on the land to stay and to be able to work. But the head of the household would have to provide that for them. So they would be taken care of and just
right.
take care of the house.
And many become his wives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he becomes accountable to them, and he's obligated to treat them as a wife. He's not just to use them as a sex object. He's accountable to treat them as a wife. And if he doesn't, there's punishments for that. So that's the Bible. That's not messed up. Western culture is messed up. And that's a fact.
The culture, just the culture of the world is messed up.
Exactly. Because it's driven and rooted by sin. It's ruled by sin. But Brother Yarn said, it's not the owner of Walmart, master of the workers. Indeed, that is another form of slavery. Many people who have a paycheck, they have a salary, and they have a boss who can tell you when you can see your family and when you can't see your family, when you could go on vacation and when you can't go on vacation, right? How much money you're going to get and how much money you cannot get. And if you don't abide by the rules, they can even punish you.
And they get stock options.
And they making money off of you, right? On the market.
Right.
No difference in what the slave owners did. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what's the time here? All right, we've been on for 2 hours and 44 minutes. Do you guys feel like we should push this over to the next time, or do you want to do one of these tests? Because we didn't even get to we have some. This is what we have. We have some videos, right? Mm-hmm. Some video clips, right? That we said that we were going to go through, right? But the conversation is just that intense, right? Which is a good thing, right? That's a good thing, right? But we also have some excerpts, and we also have some audio clips from some sisters who are giving their objections. We didn't even get to those objections, right? They may have came up in the conversation, but we definitely need to go through those objections one by one, right? And have discussions on them, right? But you can see how pervasive and how broad this conversation is, right? How deep it goes, right? So one question, one statement can lead to another, and another scripture, and another point, right? So that's just what happens. So what do you guys say here on the panel? Right? Talk to me.
I think this is so crucial of a discussion that it's timely too, because like Sister Eden said, and it's just, we need to start grasping this. So please do another episode and continue and so we can go deeper into it.
Yeah, go deeper into it. Yeah, because we can spend 8 hours if we had the time to do it, but again, how much can we digest at one time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely
like how much can we digest at one time? How much can you digest? Listen, that's how you get overweight, right? And you pile that plate up, right? So when the holidays time come, or whatever, the feast time come, you want everything that's on that table, right? Or you go to the buffet, you want a little bit of everything. And by the time you get finished with the last dish, right, you got a mountain, right? So then you got to look at it like, how I'm gonna eat all of this?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we have to be mindful of the fact that it's but so much we can eat at one time, right? Yeah, Brother Johnny.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's put it over for another time. Let's give these guys something to digest and something for us to digest. Because we do, though we can go for 8 hours, we still got to go enjoy Shabbat now. We still got to go and enjoy Shabbat and enter into that holy rest. But I do want to thank Eden, since she's appreciate the thorough conversation. Yes. I do want to thank her for joining in and giving her comments. It definitely made for a good back and forth.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
And excellent, poignant questions, right? Profound questions, questions that actually spawn the discussion and make us dig more into it. We had to go searching for scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Kept us on our toes.
And And that's exactly why I said somebody's going to call her daddy and pay a dowry.
I am praying for all my sisters that will be the case and done righteously.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, one thing about this is that, you know, it's bitter. It's a bitter truth. It's like taking medicine, right? It can be real bitter, or even some herbs or roots or what have you. It can taste very bitter, but it's the thing that's needed, right? And if you take it in proportionately in the way it should be taken as properly prescribed, right, then you'll see the benefits and the effects of it, right? So it's the same thing as dissecting this truth. Yeah, going in, it may be real bitter. It might be, you know, go against so much conventional beliefs that we've had, things that we've been read and conditioned to think and beliefs. We call it stinking thinking, and it goes against it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that because it's bitter that it's not good for us, right? You know, and that's really where it's at. So but he says Brooklyn Lou says, you know full well that the Bible clearly says that it's okay to own foreigners as property. This is true, and we all agree with that. The problem is you don't, right? You know this is right. Yes, and I agree with that. I truly agree with that. But owning the foreigners in terms of indiscriminately taking people based on their skin color and being biased towards them and treating them like animals, even though slaves could be purchased from abroad in Israel and under Torah, they were not to treat them inhumanely. Slaves have rights in the Bible. They have rights. And if they were injured in particular ways, that they can get their freedom. It emancipates the slave. That did not happen here in the West because it was rooted in paganism, demon worship. That's what it was rooted in, not the truth. And that's the difference. Because Yah used slavery to take care of people, to make people a part of his family. And that's the difference. But yeah, Eden, she says, thank you, brother Jeremy. You saw that, right? Yah's faithful. I wait. Yes, my sister. Scripture and verse, Brooklyn, show your case. It says, you certainly know the difference between being employed and being owned, right? Slaves were owned just like wives were owned. Yeah, okay.
You just want to go back and forth, man.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I know. He's angry.
yeah. You feel it, right? He wants to tussle.
He's angry at the Most High, but we love you anyway, Brooklyn. Right? So kidnapping of a person is a capital punishment, capital crime in the Bible. Yes, it is, and that's what we talked about earlier. Oftentimes, it was better to become a biblical slave than be on facts.
Man, hey, I've been on the street. You mean tell me all I gotta do is get these baseboards and get these dishes, and I got room.
Brother, when are you coming up with this episode? It seems like we just wanted to.
Right? But isn't that what the prodigal son said when he came to himself? Right? At the moment where he chose and decided to repent, he says, how many servants in my father's house have plenty to eat, is what he says. He says, I know what I'll do. I'll go back and I'll be like a servant. He was willing to go back and be a slave in his father's house because it was better than not being in the house at all.
There we go.
Yeah, true, Eden. Yes. Yeah, this was good, guys. I really enjoyed this one, man. I really enjoyed this. So far, what are we saying here? Let's go back to our banners. What are we saying here? And I'm sorry we didn't get to a lot of the stuff that we wanted to get to, particularly the sisters' objections, because that's a meat for this whole thing. So maybe the next time we could do more emphasis and focus on the objections, which I really wanted to do at this time, but some questions and exchange and the dialogue going back and forth, it just goes to show how deep this thing is, how broad it is.
I think he needed to lay the foundation, and this discussion was laying the foundation for the objections.
I agree. And I'm going to put my email on the bottom if any of you have any questions. Let me do the streaming while we do that.
So what are we saying here? We are saying stay tuned because there is more to come on the subject, and we're actually going to get deeper into it with videos. And just like Brother Allen said with the actual audios, I cannot wait to get to that part.
Yeah.
Actually hear the objections, and then we'll be able to address them.
Yes. But yeah, definitely. What do you say, Brother Noah? What are we saying here? What are we concluding so far? Because we're not concluding overall. Ultimately, we still got more to go. But so far, based on what we in this increment, in this segment, what are we concluding today? What are we saying?
Biblically, children belong to the father. Now, depending on the circumstance, the situation, it would be the next man in charge of that child.
Okay. I think that point was definitely emphasized and re-emphasized. Sister D.
And we're saying that the woman belongs to the man. The foundation was you belong to the man first. And my sisters, we're not done yet. So please send me the email questions as well, or chat questions to objections.
Yes.
If you're joining in for the next time we're continuing these conversations, I'm still taking
yes
those video clips that you're making.
Right. I need to create a banner that I can have Brother Jeremy and you and Brother Noah, and I can have each of you guys call to your channels already preset, because it's important that we refer everyone. I'm going to put in the comment section below, in the description, not in the comment section, but in the description box, or Brother Jeremy, you can do that too while I'm talking. You could put each respective person. You could put Brother Jeremy's call letters to his channel, Sister Deborah's, and Brother Noah's. So if you want to get in contact with any one of us respectively, you can do that. Definitely go over to the channel, like, subscribe, comment with respect, and don't keep that love to yourself. Definitely.
Yep. Share it out. Share, especially this one. Share this one.
This is a hottie.
Yeah, Johnny said he agrees with Brother Noah, and he said he agrees with Sister Deborah. Yeah. All right. All right. Let me. Yeah.
The baddest in the land.
The baddest in the land. All right. Show no. Shabbat shalom. It's a great talk.
Shalom.
You was in here in disguise, man. You ain't make yourself reveal, Brother Shona. What's going on, man? What you trying to do? That's some new technique that the master got nowadays. He's acting going stealth. He ain't showing his presence, making himself known, coming up and creeping up and sneaking up us on the side. Oh, okay. Man. Yeah. Tree of the Field. All right. So Tree of the Field, that's Brother Noah's channel right there. All right. Showing up laughing. Yeah, so he's putting up Deborah and himself. Yeah, I'm gonna add those to my regular things so that I'll make sure that I have them every time. Yeah, because Call for Wisdom. This is Sister Deborah's call letters to her channor. All right. Shalom.
Brother Noah.
Shalom to you, Sister Eden. Thank you again for your great and good and wholesome and thought-provoking contribution today.
Thank you, Eden.
Blessing to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, enjoy it. So, and this is Word of the Sword. This is Brother Jeremy's call letters to his channel. So definitely going on over, Brother Jeremy. Exactly. All right. So we want to thank everyone. Well, did we get everyone's? Brother Jeremy, did you give us your? Okay. So yeah. So I agree with everyone. That's it. I agree with everyone, and I want to thank everyone that commented and chimed in the discussion today and made this discussion, this dialogue, this study, right? This family study, a good one. Even Brooklyn, he tried, and I thank him for as well, right, for showing up. Right, next time he just got to come and behave himself, right? So, with that said, I guess it's time that we close this out on a word of prayer. So, Brother Noah, would you be so kind to close us out?
Lord, we thank you for the gathering today. We thank you for those viewing, those who have contributed in the chat. We pray that this has been edifying, and there's still so much to cover. May your will be done as we pick it back up the next time. Bless us all this day. We thank you for your holy day of rest. In your son's name, Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen.
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 Yes. Yes. All right. All right. So that was good. So I guess for King and Kingdom, until the next time, look out for the link for this coming Masculinity Monday. I'm still kind of like tossed between which topics. There's so many topics that we're going to go with this coming Monday night, but I will look out for it between tomorrow and the next day to be posted for this Masculinity Monday. But definitely the next Shabbat morning Bible day, which will be 2 weeks from now, right? We're going to pick up this topic again, 10 objections to why children belong to their fathers. And so what say you? You heard it. You heard what we talked about. You watching the playback, put your comments in the comment section. Do you agree? You disagree? Any suggestions, comments, whatever questions, definitely put it in the comment section and share this with someone else. Like, subscribe, and we thank you. Until the next time, tune in for King and Kingdom. We bid you shalom.
Shalom.
King and Kingdom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.